Unleashing the fury like an untamed beast, locked in a cage where strength is released. Striking precision, grappling with mind, the golden octagon. The stage we ignite. Unleashing the fury like an untamed beast, locked in a cage where strength is released. Striking precision, grappling like a golden octagon. The stage we ignite.
And we are live. Welcome to the Golden Octagon MMA Podcast with your hosts, Matt and D Rose.
And hola, bienvenidos a el Golden Octagon MMA Podcast. Soy Mateo. Aquí is mi amigo, mi compadre, mi hermano from another madre, D Rose. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Golden Octagon MMA Podcast. My name is Matt. D Rose is on that cyber screen. How y'all doing? We are here to talk about this upcoming weekend's fights, UFC Mexico City, Brandon Moreno versus Steve Erceg. But before we get to that, we got some UFC news and fight announcements to cover, and then we got a recap of UFC London. D Rose, how you been? How past week, my guy?
Yeah, things have been great over this way, and I like you with the bilingual intro there. You know, placating to all sides. So hey, I like the vibe coming in. So like that there. No, things have been good this week. You know, this past weekend it was a decent weekend. I sent you the two bets that I ended up hitting. It, you know, basically ended up saving my weekend a little bit to a certain extent. I came out in the plus, thank goodness. So I've been on a little bit of a roll. We'll get into it, but our podcast pick, man, my leg ended up letting us down again. But
you didn't play it anyway, so it's okay.
Yeah, no, I did not. But if anybody did, hey, that's I'm taking the L for that one. But I want to stick to my 3-year decision prompt there. I've been money with those as far as calling those. So I'm gonna stick to what's got me here. But no, I'm everything's been great, and looking forward to this weekend, man. It's a pretty stacked card coming up, so I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, UFC going to Mexico City. As I said, dude, it's kind of like the get back, because like for Noche, dude, all the Mexican fighters lost. Others like other than like 2 and Diego Lopez, so 2.5. So it's kind of like they're going to Mexico City to kind of running back most of the same fighters too. So hopefully they can get a dub this upcoming weekend. But with that being said, we don't really have too many of y'all in the chat tonight, so let's just get into it. We got Austin in here with a "What's up, gangsters?" Austin, how is this the 1 week you don't drop any Spanish in the chat? That's kind of wild, because I was ready for it this week, dude. I was ready for it. We got Antoine. Let's get it, boys. Y'all should watch Stephen A's most recent video reacting to LeBron's talk on the Pat McAfee show. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. And see what he says. I've been seeing some memes saying that he would like beat up LeBron. Stephen A. Smith is not hurting anyone's feelings. You know, I don't know if he could hurt anyone at all.
Yeah, no, I'm going to say, I don't know what Stephen A. is going to be doing with them baby punches. I don't know if you ever saw that sparring video of him when he's like punching like down like this, but yeah, he's throwing them little baby punches there, like he's punching a baby. Yeah, you know, that shit ain't going to work.
Yeah, we got Austin with the sorry essay. It's okay, brother. It's okay. We appreciate you stopping by tonight. With that being said, I guess we'll go ahead and get into the rundown of the show. So we'll do the UFC London recap. Somebody's got to be eating beans this week. And it ain't gonna be me. Anyway, and then we'll get some UFC news and fight announcements. And real quick, talk about this. You were so excited talking about last week how you ordered these new beans and all this, and you get to bring out this week and try them. How exciting is that?
Yeah, wonderful. I'm absolutely thrilled to be trying these right now. No, the only reason why I had to get some more is because these other ones that I got over here, they did end up expiring. So they ended up expiring back in January. So wasn't going to take any chances with that. So I did end up getting a fresh pack here. Seal still has not been even broken yet. So we'll be breaking the seal. 4 new flavors altogether. One is either licorice or burnt rubber. The other one is top banana or wet dog. So some of your old classics are still here, like booger, stinky socks, some of those. But yeah, throwing a little wet dog and burnt rubber, man, I do not want that, man. But hey, it is what it is. I'm taking the L. I wanted the beans back. I think I'm going to do it, even if I don't want to.
All right, just a little treat to look forward to later on in the show. And then we are going to go over some UFC fight news and announcements with hopefully a terrible taste in D Rose's mouth. And then to close out the show, we got our UFC Mexico City, Brandon Moreno versus Steve Erceg, our preview and our picks for that. And I do have my 2 favorite picks in LA cooked up, and then we will obviously give you all the podcast play of the week. We were on a roll, D Rose, but last week we all got robbed. We all got robbed with that Mick Parkin decision, but we'll talk about it. Let's get into this UFC London recap, man. So before we do, what did Antoine say? It's crazy because all this happened after Stephen A got $100 million signing. Dude, $100 million for that dude to get to just run his mouth, dude. That's crazy. I will take
Stephen A.
like 1/100th of that to just really do anything.
They love that dude.
Yeah,
love it or not.
Yeah. Anyway, also, how's life been for you boys? And friends party how did that friends party go, D Rose?
Oh no, it went well. It wasn't anything more crazy than just a couple guys been getting just a couple of his family members and stuff like that got together. The crazy part is that I worked with this guy probably, we're talking 14 years ago, 13 years ago, somewhere around there. So I remember his kids when they were like teenagers, and now his kids are like adults who now have, and one of them like has kids now. So it's just crazy to like watch people go through like the evolution of life, because you might have like your friend's parents or your parents' friends or something like that, like come up to you and be like, "Oh, I remember when you were this tall," and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm tired of hearing this." I 1000% empathize with those people who say that now, because I'm seeing it from their perspective now, dude. Like, when I'm seeing, like, I remember kids as little kids and now they have kids, like, I'm like, it's a wild world we live in, man. And it's just crazy how time
when I saw
it just goes.
When I saw your mom and dad the last time that I was there, like, it was almost like they didn't they didn't believe it. Almost like I had to explain to them who I was, and they're like, "Oh, okay." And then even after, they're like, I'm like, I don't know if they really understand who exactly what kid I exactly am.
Yeah. Well, and if I had explained it to them, if I had said Fisher Street, I went over there with your dad or whatever, I bring up small little hints like that, it would have been, I think something would have came up then. But that's usually what I had to try to do. It's just like, we rode the bus together, stuff like that. But
I mean, because it's like there was a lot of kids like over there, dude.
Yeah.
Like we all rode the bus together, so that was a little.
Hey, you know what? For the most part, my parents remembered the most the ones who were like the worst kids, just because they were like the worst behaved and stuff. So it maybe it's a good thing that you weren't recognized. You weren't too misbehaved.
Yeah, man. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. Oh, that's nice. That's what's up, Dave. Hopefully you're feeling nice there. Yeah, so many of my friends have skills now.
I mean, I was at my niece's lacrosse game for the last like hour and a half, and I was freezing out there. So yeah, I would have much rather been home taking a nap.
And once one of my friends spent 7 years in jail for a crime he didn't commit and was exonerated. Now he has a baby on the way. That's wild. That's wild. Like the opposite stuff would be happening in like in our hometown. Like not enough people are locked up for the crimes that that they do in our hometown, dude.
1000%. The justice system is quite lazy, I guess you could say, in this area. That's for sure.
Dude, wild. Anyway, with that said, UFC London recap. Let's get into it. So, what I'm going to do, D-Rose, we usually do main card all the way down to the prelims. What I'm going to do is just start from the bottom because I do have to get this off my chest. So, UFC London recap. Our first fight tonight was Guram Kutateladze versus Kyle Fernandez, dude. Off the jump, another fighter added my do not bet list / graveyard. On there right now is just RoboCop. No one else has been cut from the UFC. Just RoboCop is on there. With that being said, Guram Kutateladze is now added to that list, dude. It's just like after that fight this past weekend against Kyle Fernandez, it just kind of has me like kind of scratching my head like, dude, was Guram ever even good, or did he just have the best night of his life against, I think, Mateus Gamrot? Heroes Cats hopping up there. I saw a little shadow up there.
No. I think it's just my shadow. No. Yeah, not yet anyway. Yeah, not yet anyway. But I expect them. I expect her to make a way over here soon.
But anyway, Kyle Fernandez just leg kicked Guram basically all 3 rounds and just shut Guram down in every single moment of the fight. Guram tried to come out there and look like Ilia Topuria or his brother, but he just got leg kicked and then just kept getting leg kicked. He even got knocked down by 2 separate leg kicks, one on each leg. So it's like, I will never bet on Guram again. And I hope to God that we get Guram at a -400 favorite or more again, because no matter who it's against, I'm taking the other side, dude. I am taking the other side. Guram is my Cody Brundage to you, dude. It's like I will not bet on this dude ever again, and I will fade him whenever I can, dude. It's just like I'm done. I'm absolutely done. Anything on that fight, man, and we'll speed through the other ones.
Yeah, no, I was just with you, just very disappointed in the way that Guram. Again, I didn't go crazy on him. I had him in a long shot parlay, and that was the only thing I had him in. I had like a 10-leg parlay, I had like exact method of victory. It was like $2 to win like 800 or something like that. I can't even remember how much it was, but yeah, no, Guram just, as you said, has got leg kicked just way too much. And honestly, and we'll lead into a reason why I picked a different fighter on this card as well, is, Guram just, as you said, maybe he just had the best night against Gamrot, but I haven't really seen it. And honestly, I don't know if that Elvis Brenner loss really And you can make the argument that ever since that fight, like he just hasn't really like looked the same since then, because he looked good in that fight. Like I went back and watched that fight again. You know, I told you that's one of my favorite fights, but I just wonder if that fight ended up taking a little bit out of him to where he had a lot of potential at first, but now he's just so reserved in his attack and all this stuff. And you got Hamzat and Ilia Topuria, and you can't get a dub. Something's going on, man. So, yeah, I'm with you as far as I ain't betting that dude anymore.
Yeah, man. And then Antoine saying, where to go? Also, let me know if either one of y'all go to Atlanta for the June fight. Yeah, I was chatting with Antoine on X. You know, it'd be cool if like we could hang out or some shit like that, go grab a drink or something like that. And you wrestlers won't be effective come the second half of the decade. I think it's always going to be pretty effective, especially against people that can't stop it. Anyway, moving through the rest of this fight card, Colin Loughran versus Nathan Fletcher. I thought Nathan Fletcher won that fight and was hoping to get some hometown cooking there. Colin Loughran ended up getting the nod there, so was wrong on that one. D-Rose was too. Me and D-Rose was split on this. Sean and Bannon versus Pooja tomorrow. You know, I'm just going to say this. The right fighter won. I'm sure all of y'all have seen the highlight of what happened this past weekend. The right fighter won. That's all it is. Sean Bannon wins via second round armbar. You know, I'm just glad she won. Anyway, she did eat a pretty nasty head kick though. But you know, let's just ignore that. Anyway, Christian Leroy Duncan does win via decision, dude. Andre Pulaev, dude, looks like, I don't know how to explain it. Looks very frail, like his limbs could be easily broken. Like he's like this super tall, lanky guy, but it was almost like an unhealthy skinny. You know, Kevin Holland down at 170. He's a pretty skinny dude, but Pulaev, dude, just looked like it's like, has he eaten in the past like 6 months or anything like that? It just didn't look good, and he just kind of ran away from CLD that whole fight. So it's not really, dude, it is CLD fight. This one, dude. Marcin Tybura versus Mick Parkin. This is one that I'm still scratching my head at, truly, because I don't understand this decision, dude. I thought Mick Parkin clearly won the first round. I thought Mick Parkin clearly won the second round. And a case could be made that he won the third round. It could have been 30-27, dude. I will give it to most people that Marcin Tybura won the third round. Okay, I can give you that. Marcin Tybura won the third round. But Mick Parkin still should have won 29-28, all three judges' scorecard. And to just further my point, I don't know why. I just do things sometimes and don't know why I do them. And then 5 minutes later, I realize why I do them. I don't know why I took a screenshot of these live closing odds on Saturday night. This was like in the third round, probably like 2 minutes and 40 seconds left in the night. And these are the closing odds. Mick Parkin, minus 810. Marcin Tybura, plus 500. I just still don't understand, dude. We all got robbed. Man. It is an absolute bullshit decision. Thoughts, D-Rose?
Yeah, no, I was with you, and I was one that again, that's my pick on the bet last week, and for the podcast pick. So of course I ended up taking the L on that, but as I said, I thought at the end of the third round, and I didn't even watch the first round. And I felt like, I saw the second and third, and I felt like after that, I felt like Mick Parkin had done enough to win. So, yeah, I figured it worse 2 rounds of 1 for Mick Parkin, but yeah, I thought it was a rough pick. Of course, I'm going to be a little bit biased. I know Marcin Tybura is tough, but I mean, Mick Parkin even had more. I know he had a lot of that control time in the second round, but he still had more control time overall, still landed the overall more strikes. As you said, that third round is probably Tybura's best round, but even then, I believe that Mick Parkin has still outstruck him. So, yeah, just tough to watch. Had a couple bets lined up with Mick Parkin as well. So yeah, that absolutely crushed me, man. I was pretty salty about it, to say the least.
Dude, me too. I don't get mad at fight bets often because it's like, you don't. It's a fist. I say it every single week. It's a fist fight. Anything can happen. And usually, when I win a close decision or lose a close decision, I don't get upset. But dude, that was a blatant robbery, and I'm still mad about it. Like in London, dude, the hometown guy. You robbed the hometown guy not once, but twice. And Marcin, I agree with you, Dave. Marcin looked awful, dude. Probably like the fattest I've ever seen Marcin look. And the wild part is Mick Parkin weighed more than him. So Mick Parkin was in way better shape. That fight, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I don't want to talk about it. Some people think they're going to let Marcin go and not renew his contract. Well, you would have thought then that the UFC would have agreed with the judges to give Mick Parkin that nod on the way out then, but I guess not. Anyway, Leonard Cavanaugh, Felipe Dos Santos, dude. Good fight. Leonard Cavanaugh is just a good fighter, dude. I did pick Felipe Dos Santos to win that fight. We did pick different there, but that was one of the four where I'm like, I don't feel good about this one. So we didn't discuss it on the podcast last week, but as soon as we ended it, I was like, dude, we didn't do the fucking the exact picks, and then you're like, well, I thought we already knew that you weren't confident in that one. So to confirm it, we did throw that one off. Anyway, Jai Herbert versus Taco Chris Padilla. It was a close one, dude. Butthole pucker, and I see a lot of people not too happy with this decision that they thought Jai Herbert won the fight. So I don't know. I thought Chris Padilla won the fight, but he does win via decision. What do you think there, man?
Yeah, no, I thought that was a close fight, and I thought that was it the third round or the second round when the cut over the eye ended up happening for Taco? I believe it was the third round, right?
Yeah, like the last few seconds of the third.
Yeah, and I mean, I know like you take the screenshot of that moment and say, oh well, this guy won the fight, but I mean, I thought Jai Herbert did look better as the fight went, but me personally, I felt like Taco had banked the first two rounds myself. So a little bit biased, not gonna lie. I had a little bet on him as well, but I did feel very confident that going into the third round that I felt like Taco was up 2-0, and then I did feel like and even after Jai Herbert ended up getting the busted cut on Taco there. Jai Herbert also still ended up getting rocked as well. I believe Taco ended up landing a big shot not too long after that as well. So I thought Taco would win. I didn't think it was a big controversy. I know it came down to a split decision, but me myself, I felt like Taco would win.
Fair enough. I think this was a bad pick, man. He just got tired. Yeah, that's Lil Charles Oliveira, aka Lipe Daytona.
Leonard Cavanaugh looked good though, dude. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I picked Leonard Cavanaugh, and I was sitting here kind of like sweating because I'm not gonna lie. I was like, man, he's gonna end up losing this, and because I had a parlay with him, and I was like, man, he's gonna end up losing, or he's going to end up falling into a guillotine or something, man. But no, he's gritty, dude. He's got good striking. I mean, I thought Leonard Cavanaugh looked really good.
He got cut bad too.
Yeah, he did. He got busted up pretty good. Facing perseverance and came through. So no, I like the way Cavanaugh looked.
Yeah. Here we go. First fight on the main card: Nathaniel Wood versus the last power dude. And I'm not even going to say anything, dude. I'll let you talk about this one because I know you feel the same way that I do, dude. It's just like, take it away, man.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, for me personally, of course, I told you one of my most confident plays was Morgan Charrier. I thought the size was really going to play a factor in going into this fight. And I knew that Nathaniel Wood was going to have the speed advantage. And Nathaniel Wood he's always been a good fighter, 135 and 145. I mean, he's on a roll right now at 145 and beating some pretty good names. And even with him being outsized, it seems like he's carrying more power going up to 145. So I'm not sitting here acting like Nathaniel Wood is not good at all. But for me, it's like Morgan Charrier just has like these moments where he's just watching his opponent. Like he's almost just like watching them. And if it's not like the most perfect strike or whatever, like he's not going to throw it. He watches too much and he gets clipped. It was one of the big reasons why when going into the fight with him against Chepe Mariscal, that's why I picked Chepe, and I was so big on Chepe at that point because I knew once someone could kind of get in his face, make the fight a little dirty. I mean, the tough gets kind of going with him. And in that fight against Chepe, you had Morgan Charrier in the third round trying to wrestle Chepe because he was getting pressured. There was not. I think there was the one moment where he almost fell into a guillotine against Nathaniel Wood. He went for the takedown, and he never went for another one after that. And he's just constantly getting lit up. Nathaniel Wood is slapping leg kicks on him, snapping him with the 1-2. And in the third round, Morgan Charrier is literally on the back foot the whole fight. And that was pretty frustrating to watch to see that. But a credit to Nathaniel Wood because again, I thought the size was really going to play a factor. And I thought that Morgan Charrier was going to be able to use his wrestling, but, Nathaniel Wood did do his best as far as deterring that. I just didn't think Morgan Charrier went to the wrestling well enough, considering his judo background. And, from what I've seen, he's got pretty good top control when he gets a guy down. Why not try to utilize that a little bit more against a guy you're getting lit up against? You're on mute.
Yeah, man, still raises more of these Cage Wars red flags, dude. I just see more and more every single fight week, dude. I'm like, why do I even pick these guys? Why did I even bet on this guy altogether, dude? I have no idea. No idea why I was so confident in that fight. Anyway, so like Nathaniel Wood does with the decision and the whole fight, I'm just like, hey, Morgan, you going to do something, man? Or are you just going to pressure him and then get beat up while pressuring him? Because that's kind of what was happening. I was like, dude, like you have to throw something. You have to throw something while you're pressuring him. Because if not, he's just going to hit you in the face.
and in the third round, it was nothing but him getting pressured. Like Nathaniel Wood pressured him the whole third round. I don't think Morgan Charrier took one step forward that entire third round. Nathaniel Wood literally walked him down the entire third round. So that was, again, as someone who is pretty confident in Morgan Charrier, just a little bit frustrating to watch.
Yeah, we got Texas Race. How's it going? I hope everyone's doing good. What do we think happens in the Volk fight? I can see him taking the other L. I want D-O. I don't know about D-Rose. I want to see like Nathaniel finally get a ranked opponent. He's in his prime at 31. Yeah, I think he's a little bit too small for 145. That's just me. Do you think Morgan is overrated, or did he not do enough in this fight? He's young himself. For me, I was a fan of him recently, but I think Morgan's a good can crusher. But as soon as as D-Rose said, as soon as like someone can like push back on him, I think he folds, and that kind of goes for a lot of these Cage Warriors dudes. And who in the featherweight rankings do you think Wood can beat? Let's see who's in the rankings right now.
What do you think about a fight with him and Arnold Allen?
Dude, Arnold Allen would crush Nathaniel Wood.
You think so?
Yes.
I mean, that could be a fun fight. What do you think about Giga's kind of a little bit bigger, but maybe Giga Chikadze? I think the proper matchmaking is probably, if he's still on the roster at this point, probably like an Alex Caceres. Like that would probably be like the probable next fight. Right. If you can beat Alex Caceres, you can go there against the top guys.
All right. The top 15 at featherweight is Dan Ige. I don't think he'd beat Dan Ige. Calvin Kattar. I don't think he'd beat Calvin Kattar.
Man, that Dan Ige, that's an interesting one. I like that fight.
I think Dan Ige would put him out because his chin's not that good, dude.
That's interesting, man.
But anyway, Calvin Kattar. I don't think he'd beat Kattar. I don't think he'd beat Bryce Mitchell. He for sure as fuck wouldn't be Yusuf Salal. Giga at 11 is an interesting one because Giga's a little bit older, maybe. Lerone Murphy, I don't think he's beating Lerone Murphy. He's not being Aljo. He's fuck not beating Josh Emmett. Arnold Allen's number 7. I don't think he beats Arnold Allen. T City's number 6. Yair's 5. Yeah, no, I don't think. His best chance is against maybe Giga or Lerone Murphy. That's my guess. One of those two.
Did him and Lerone Murphy fight, or did they have beef? Like, for some reason, I remember them like fighting or something.
It's
or
been
them, like,
scheduled a few times. It's been scheduled a few times, but when it's got scheduled, like Nathaniel Wood just keeps getting hurt for some reason. Like he had a nasty cut on his leg last time. But let's see. Nathaniel Wood. It was scheduled in 2023, but it didn't happen.
Okay.
Yeah, they haven't fought. It's been scheduled.
Yeah, it may be where it was scheduled, and maybe I just still had it on my mind, thinking that they did fight. Because I remember them kind of bumping gums to one another before, and maybe I was thinking that it was before a fight, but I guess maybe it was due to the fight cancellation itself. But
yeah. All right. So continuing on. Anyway, where were we? Anyway, Jordan Vucinic, Chris Duncan. Once again, these Cage Warriors, dude. We'll talk about this exact scenario a few fights later in the card, dude. The first round was actually all right, dude. Jordan Vucinic looked good until he ends up getting dropped. And then I was just like, oh, this isn't going well. And we were split on this fight. You did pick Chris Duncan, so I know you were happy with it. And then in the second round, dude, Chris Duncan Jordan Vucinic decides to shoot a takedown from like 10 feet away, basically right into a guillotine, dude. I was like, that was a terrible idea. And then he just got knocked out. Second round submission for Chris Duncan. Anything there?
Yeah, no, more or less to say that, another reason why I picked Chris Duncan is that I think a lot of people hyped up Jordan Vucinic. I don't know why I keep wanting to say Vucinic. Vucinic is because I think a lot of people hyped him up coming in because he had the fight against Guram that was close, but people were giving him like almost a moral victory because he had a close fight against Guram. And I think Chris Duncan's a little bit more tested and a little bit more proven in the UFC at this point. I just think, he's earned his stripes a little bit more. He's fought tougher competition, tougher guys. And Chris Duncan's going to be a hard dude to get out of there, man. And he's tough. He's got good submissions. He's got knockout power. We've seen him, knockout guys. We've seen him submit guys before. He doesn't go in there to BS. And, I like Chris Duncan a lot, man. I'm upset I did not play. I did play for the fight to start the second round. So that was what I was most happy about. I'm upset I did not bet Chris Duncan straight up because I think he was like, dude, he might have been like plus 200, like, plus 200 or something like that.
No, he was like plus 280, like maybe even plus 300. Because I know at one point Jordan was like minus 425 or something like that. Like it was getting out of hand. I was like, dude, people have way too much faith in this guy. Anyway, moving on. Molly, the Meatball McCann, taking on Alexis Lynara, dude, ended as expected. Submission, round 1, 4 minutes and 32 seconds. So about 28 seconds left in the round. We get another round 1. Meatball sub, dude. I called it. And it happened. It happened, dude. I didn't overthink it. I just knew what was going to happen. And then we see Molly retire after, dude. It makes me sad because Molly was a fun fighter. She was fun to pick, and then if her opponent had any chance of sitting there, you knew to pick against her, dude. It was fun, dude. But the Molly Meatball McCann show is now over, dude. She has retired. I think she's going to go make some coffees now. Some coffees in England. Yeah, dude. Molly McCann, shout out to you. Your career was for sure fun. Can we have a rollie, please? Fucking come on. Anything there, man.
We love Molly. For me, I mean, honestly, it was a good performance from Alexis Tainara. I'm not going to lie, though. Her coming out doing all the extra dancing and stuff. Please, tell me. Yes. I was about to say, please tell me I wasn't the only one that was getting annoyed by that, because I'm at work.
I was
the fight.
I was like, she better win, dude. If she's taking this long, she better win.
Yes, I was like, dude. I'm not going to lie. As soon as that happened, I went and threw $5 on Molly McCann. I was like, dude, I hope Molly ends up going in here and smoking her, dude. I was like, this is pissing me off just watching her just walk in doing this extra shit. But hey, look, she ended up delivering on her performance, ended up hurting Molly on the feet, getting her down to the ground, and missed the choke at first, ended up readjusting and sinking it in, and perfect performance from her. Hell of a celebration for her to dive and do the twerk at the same time. I mean, that's some next level stuff to try to get the fans. So yeah, Alexis Tainara and bro, she didn't even catch herself either. She literally landed on all rib, literally twerking in midair. I'm like, bro, she is straight. This chick's a savage, man. You gotta respect the twerk, man. Respecting it through the air. That's
dude, wild. Because she had missed the first sub, I was like, fuck, and I had turned around, and I was kind of walking to the kitchen, and Beyonce goes, babe, she has her another choke, and I fucking peeked my head around the corner, and I saw her in the rear naked, and then she tapped. I was like, yes, and then she started celebrating, and she jumped on the ground and started doing that. I was like, yeah, shake that ass, and then she just looked at me. I was like, sorry. I got so excited because I had Alexis Tainara round 1, round 2 sub in a few different parlays. And so I was just super happy, dude. And, it actually comes through. So she can be mad at me if she wants to. It is what it is.
Get it sexy. Get it sexy.
Anyway, Gunnar Nelson, Kevin Holland, dude. So round 1 is mostly spent with Kevin Holland on his back, with Gunnar Nelson attempting to get in a few subs, but what we saw basically is Kevin Holland is 170 his correct weight class, dude. It's he's not being able to be overpowered by these huge ass guys and shit. But at the end of the first round, fighters got back up to their feet, and Kevin Holland absolutely smokes Gunnar Nelson, dude. With 10 seconds left, you just see Kevin Holland standing over him, raining down. And I'm sitting here once again, I'm still hyped up because the last fight, I needed Alexis Tainara round 1 sub. Leading into this fight, I needed Kevin Holland round 1 knockout, dude. And when this happens, I'm like, stop it. And then the ref just didn't stop it, dude. And I was just upset. And then the next 2 rounds, Kevin Holland, how do I say, dude? He's spent on his back still, but you saw him land a lot of damage from his back, throwing up elbows, biting shit still. Good performance overall, in my opinion. What thoughts, Kevin Holland versus Gunnar Nelson?
No, I'm glad to see that he'd fought with a little more urgency coming out, because that's been my criticism of him his last few fights, is that I never have I doubted his talent. He's always been a talented fighter. That's more of what my criticism has been, is just that oh no, you can't get Aileen out of there that quick, man. Man, don't be a simp, Dave. Come on, you got to be a ride or die with Aileen. Hey, she getting close to the top 2 as far as potentially competing for the belt. You got to keep riding that train. but no, I thought Kevin Holland. No, I thought Kevin Holland looked really good. And I thought once Gunnar Nelson got the takedown in the first round, I was kind of like, okay, here we go again. But then all of a sudden, Kevin Holland, he's throwing a bunch of strikes off his back. He's tying up Gunnar Nelson in certain ways, and I believe they said it was an omoplata that he had him tied up in when they're standing up against these, on the fence. Gunnar Nelson is literally standing up and holding Kevin Holland. It was a pretty funny moment. They're sitting there kind of talking back and forth with one another.
It's in the middle at the bottom underneath like the word podcast right there.
Yeah. Just to see Kevin Holland just dangling off of Gunnar Nelson's arm, it was just absolutely hilarious.
And I heard him say, "You're strong." He's like, "You're strong."
Yeah, they're sitting there literally just talking to one another, just laughing and everything. It was a funny moment. But Gunnar Nelson got him back down. I'm like, okay, here we go. And then Kevin Holland has a big sense of urgency to get back up to his feet. He's throwing up different submissions. He's kicking off on the hips, trying to make sure he gets back up to his feet. And what happens when he gets the fight to his feet? He ends up rocking Gunnar Nelson. And I just thought he just really made Gunnar Nelson's life hell, really after he got that knockdown in the first round. So it was good to see Kevin Holland kind of, really realize some of that potential. Maybe it's just the type of lane that he's in. He's kind of like in that Derek Lewis lane where he's not going to go fight for the title or anything like that. But if you put him in a right matchup accordingly, he'll deliver a fun fight. So, that's the lane that Kevin Holland occupies. I know I was a big doubter last week, but he came through.
Hell yeah. And came through from my side of the podcast play of the week, dude. And have I missed one of these yet, dude?
I don't think so.
I don't think so, man. Like every week, my most confident play of the week, that shit hits. So, I've just been on an unbelievable roll at this point. Anyway, co-main event, Carlos Ulberg, Jan Blachowicz. Carlos Ulberg and Jan Blachowicz was I'm going to be honest, dude. After the first round, I said, I'm not watching this shit. I don't care who wins. And I was just walking, throwing away shit in my kitchen, just doing shit like that. And then at the end of the fight, I go, I bet Carlos Ulberg won just because he fights prettier. And basically that's why I feel like he won, because I asked her, I was like, hey, who do you think won? She went, I don't know. It's boring. I was like, all right, so Carlos Ulberg won. And then at the end of the fight, Carlos Ulberg did win via decision. What do you think about that fight, man? Because I got to be honest, I didn't watch the majority of it because that shit sucked.
It was definitely hard to watch. It was a lot more jousting than it was not really even hard jousting. Just barely just one shot here, one shot there. A lot of leg kicks, a lot of leg kick defense. I mean, I thought Jan did look pretty good considering coming off from the time off and the 2 shoulder surgeries that he had. But as far as everything else, I just thought that both guys looked hesitant because they didn't want that bomb to land on one another, because we've seen Ulberg put guys out with the quickness, and we've seen Jan Blachowicz put guys out with the quickness. And I think that Carlos Ulberg didn't want to step into any potential takedowns as well as his training partner, Israel Adesanya. As when he fought Jan Blachowicz, he got taken down a couple times. So I think Carlos Ulberg really didn't want to put himself in that type of position to where he could be taken down himself or have a bomb landed on. So Carlos Ulberg was just content with fighting at range. I mean, I thought Jan Blachowicz won the first round. I thought Carlos Ulberg won rounds 2 and 3. I just thought that's how the fight went. Some people thought it was a robbery. I didn't think it was a robbery. I thought Ulberg won cleanly rounds 2 and 3, and what was a pretty uneventful fight. But I thought that Carlos Ulberg did get the job done.
Yeah, Anton says, also, what's Kevin's ceiling at welterweight, seeing how he can grapple better with smaller guys, and he's a black belt under Travis. I love Kevin Holland, whether it's 185 or 170. I just think he's such an entertaining fighter. Whether it's on the ground or on the feet, he's trying to finish the fight no matter what, and that's what I love about Kevin Holland. So, for sure, has a lot higher ceiling down at 170, but I think if he runs into like the top, like Shavkat, Sean Brady, someone that's still going to take him down, I think that's where he still loses. How about you, Heroes?
Yeah, I'm with you on that part. As far as yeah, I think that's exactly what happens once he matches up against some of those top guys, the ones who could really grapple and stuff like that. Because I mean, let's face it, welterweight does have some pretty good grapplers and wrestlers and stuff at this point. So I mean, if he got matched up with like a like a Colby even or Usman or Gilbert, Sean Brady, any
I think he
if you
might
said
knock out
Shavkat.
Gilbert though. He might knock out Gilbert because Gilbert's chin is not the best. Dude.
Yeah, I mean it would be a better chance, but if Gilbert gets it to the ground, dude, I mean that's going to be rough going for Kevin Holland, who is content with being on his back at times too.
Colby,
So,
dude, that'd be a fun one.
Yeah, I mean it may be, but I mean I honestly think Colby would be a pretty tough matchup for him too, because I think Colby could potentially get it down to the ground. And again, with Kevin Holland being so content with being off his back, because he is confident with throwing up different submissions, he does attack with elbows, but at times, those wrestlers like that because hey, you're content with being on the ground, I'm content with controlling you. So I think that could still be a little bit of a tougher matchup for Kevin Holland. I just think he's just a fun fighter, and as I said, in comparison, Kevin Holland, I compare him to Derek Lewis. He could just take, he could fight whoever, whenever, however. And most people are there to watch him fight.
And from Houston, let's go. And then talking about Sean Brady a little there. Moving on to the main event, dude. Sean Brady versus Leon Edwards, dude. I saw a lot of people just talking about Sean Brady's excellent grappling, dude. One thing I do want to point out from the jump, dude, was the three-piece that Sean Brady kept landing on Leon, dude. He would rush him and hit him through like three quick punches. And every single time, like you saw Leon's head, like bam, bam, bam. Like all three would hit him every single time. It's like he didn't understand like where it was coming from. He's like, which one of y'all kick me? Like the whole fucking rush hour moment. Which one of y'all kick me, dude? Because it's almost like he didn't understand it. And I said it earlier in the week. It was almost like Leon was looking past Brady because he was short. And I knew that was a mistake. Sean Brady does become the first person to finish Leon Edwards 4-round submission. I did call it the third round sub, so I'm a little happy there. Didn't call it spot on, but Leon Edwards does lose once again. Leon Edwards is broken. And, dude, even after the fight, I was like, you know what? Fuck you, Leon. It was like he was, like, still acting like he was better than Sean Brady. It's like, dude, you just got fucking dominated, man. You are clearly the worst fighter on this night. What the fuck, dude? And it's just like he's a sore loser. I don't know, dude. I'm glad Sean Brady choked him out in his hometown. Thoughts on the main event, man?
Yeah, no, I thought Sean Brady looked awesome, man. And looked even better than what I thought. I thought that after round one, I thought Sean Brady absolutely dominated that fight. And I thought that, for Leon, he's another one that he does like for the fight to be pretty. As Sean Brady said after the fight in his post-fight press conference, he said, Leon likes for the fight to be pretty and, he can keep it at his range. But when you're able to put that pressure up against him and get in his face and smother his range to where he can't get off his, long punches and long kicks, you can get to Leon and make it trouble for him, man. And that's exactly what Sean Brady did. He never backed down. And, he kept throwing them combos, as you said, and was landing, and it just kept the pressure going. And Sean Brady had even said, like, he had just felt the energy the whole week that it was just like Leon was being so dismissive. And to be fair, like, Sean Brady even kind of said, like, hey, maybe Bilal was kind of right about this guy, like, the way he acts, because I remember even going back to the Bilal fight week, like, so many people were making fun of Bilal because he didn't say anything to Leon when they were in the elevator with one another, but it was one Bilal versus like Leon and his whole entire team that was there. So what, he's going to say something, then all of a sudden everybody's going to jump him? Like, yeah, no, obviously that's not a good idea. And kind of same thing with Sean Brady. Sean Brady has said that, Leon's team was kind of being, a bunch of jerks as well. And just giving off of, a very arrogant vibe. And I think Leon's losing a lot of browning points right now, man, just as far as, people loved him after the Usman KO, the headshot dead and all that stuff. But I think as far as fan favor with the fans, I think he's losing a lot of that favor with the fans, man, for for how many like him right now. Just because, as you said, I thought his attitude just hasn't been where fans feel like I guess it should be, which is kind of being a little bit more humble and a little bit more respectful, but just kind of being this whole dismissive attitude and overlooking his opponents. And as Sean Brady showed, you can't overlook a guy like him, man, because he's right there at the top as far as the top welterweights in the world.
Yeah, the crazy thing to me was when Leon Edwards shot a takedown, dude, in the 4th round. Like, and I heard like the post fight, and Sean Brady be like, he shot, and I was like, thank you. Like, he was like, what an idiot. Like, and he actually heard like fucking Leon go, oh fuck. He's like, I heard him go, oh fuck. Like, and I was like, I just knew it was over at that point. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. So, yeah, man, good fights overall, but different picks this past weekend were Sean O'Bannon versus Pooja Tamar, where I went Sean O'Bannon, you went Pooja Tamar. Jordan Vucinic versus Chris Duncan, where I went Vucinic, unfortunately, and you went Chris Duncan. And Kevin Holland versus Gunnar Nelson, where I went Kevin Holland and you went Gunnar Nelson. Our parlay for the podcast play of the week was Kevin Holland moneyline and Mick Parkin moneyline. You didn't play it, but I did. But your side, unfortunately, lose D-Rose. With that being said, I did make this cool little picture for doubting me. Look at D-Rose in there. even the picture on the shirt's crying.
Yeah, I was, why you gonna do that to Kai? You ain't gotta do that to Kai. Man, that's
we
dirty.
did cash 2 of them. We did cash 2. Alexis Tainara sub 1-2 and Sean Brady sub 2-3-4. I'm surprised we hit that one. That was a fucking long shot, dude. And my 2 favorite picks on the card were Chris Padilla and Kevin Holland moneyline. So that one does cash. So hell yeah, motherfuckers. Yeah, that's a cool picture there. Like, I'm gonna have to start using that like when that happens. So with that being said, let's go ahead and eat the beans because your boys pick champ this week. Got it back. Don't have to eat no beans. D Rose is the loser this week. Bean boozled for D Rose.
So
I'm
gonna
gonna full screen you, man. So ain't no shenanigans.
That's breaking the seal. First time we're breaking it.
Open it like that. Why do you open it?
I mean, because that's how it had the.
Is there not just the reclosable thing?
Yeah, I mean, that's
that?
the. Yeah,
that's
how
mine. The whole top of it opens. What the hell?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, I guess just like one little spot opens on yours, so you can only get one out at a time.
Yep. Oh gosh. Now, this one does have similar to the old flavors. Man. Did you say we were going to start this back next week? Or was it next week we were going to start this back?
Last week, man. Don't even try to do that bullshit.
Man, I thought it was I thought we were talking about doing it, man. Either dead fish or strawberry banana smoothie. Oh gosh. Let me get my bag ready, man. Oh.
Dead fish, dead fish, dead fish, dead. Oh, I heard it. I heard it come up. I guess it was dead fish.
Oh.
It's all right, dude. You only got one more.
Dude, things haven't changed. Dude, things have not changed. I didn't miss this either. Like, I didn't miss it at all. Like, we didn't need to do this again.
You're the one that requested it. Went out and bought new.
You know what? Request denied. How about
this?
That?
Was your idea. This was your idea.
How did this even happen? Why was this not vetoed? Oh,
not the same one. Not the same
one. Green
booger
hair or this nasty ass booger, dude.
Everyone say it. Booger. Booger.
Oh
booger,
my gosh.
Booger. Are you frozen?
Was it next week?
Oh, there he goes. Nope, here we go. Booger. I ain't shooting it too long. It can't be bad. Unless he loves boogers. Nah, it's not bad. Look at him tasting it.
No, it's pear, but
Like pears? You don't like pears and shit like that?
I don't know. It just honestly, it's like too ripe.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's like yeah. I don't know. That's just
Well, that was a letdown.
even if
that
that's
was a
pear,
letdown.
that's not good. Which is better than dead
Yeah.
fish, clearly, but it's still not great.
I wish it was booger. I like to watch you eat booger flavored jelly beans. That's how I get entertained on Wednesdays. Anyway, so
No.
let's get
dead fish.
into
Y'all are good.
let's get into our UFC announcements. Oh yeah, let me get right here. I gotta scroll back up. Oh yeah, here we go. How about Sean Strickland expanding his horizons to Popeyes? Did you see that, dear?
I did see that. That was actually pretty funny. Yeah, no, that was
Dude,
he was like, this is so
I don't
good. I understand why black guys go crazy.
like, did you see him in the restaurant though?
Yeah, like recording himself, like talking to the
Dude,
workers, like, you think I'm gonna like it?
Stop, dude. Like, stop. Like, you act like you've never had fried chicken in your entire life, Sean, dude. Like, come on, seriously, dude, get the fuck out of here. I don't know. Maybe you guys find him more entertaining than I do. I think he's funny. I think he's a fucking idiot that needs help. But anyway, that's just me. Popeye's chicken is fucking awesome. So you move your teeth
I mean, he's
up
not
and
lying.
down. Move your teeth up and down, and then tilt your head back, and then let the meat slide down your throat. Thanks, Beefy. Yeah,
It's been so long since I've seen that movie.
yeah. When the Popeyes chicken sandwich first came out, that thing was wild, dude. Everyone was shot for it, getting stabbed, and dude, there was like two Popeyes here, like a person got stabbed waiting in line, 2 occasions.
The sandwich had people in a chokehold, bro. I mean, I know that, like, for me personally, man, their chicken sandwiches are the best. Like, the closest one to us is like 40 minutes out, so that's the only part that like really sucks. I know Dave said that he likes Bojangles. I love me some Bojangles too. Bojangles, like chicken, like as far as like their wings, their breasts, and stuff like that. Bojangles has the best chicken. Popeyes has the best sandwich. That piece of chicken that you get on that freaking Popeye sandwich, bro. I mean, you get like a breast and a half, like on one sandwich. Like, those things are massive. Yeah. Keep having these little sneeze fests. But yes, love me some Popeyes chicken, man.
Yeah. Same. I like Popeyes as well, dude. But when you fucking go to the drive-thru, dude, you can't have thin skin because it's like, dude, they're already mad at you because you came through the drive-thru, and so like when they open up the window, dude, you better have your fucking catcher's mitt ready to go because that bag's coming out at least 20 miles an hour. If you don't catch that shit, then you're gonna have fries all over the other side of your car, dude, because they just fucking whip out like you're ruining their day for coming to the restaurant for doing their job, dude. It's like, hey, I'm sorry I'm starving right now from talking to your cousin on FaceTime right now, but can I please order some food? Like, it's just horrible, man. Like, I'm sorry for coming here. And yeah, I do have a Raising Cane's. I'd fuck up some Raising Cane's. I don't know if you ever had it, T-Rose.
I had it one time when we actually came up there. It wasn't last year, but it was the year before. I think they're good, but the sauce does a lot of lifting for Raising Cane's for me. Because if you don't have the sauce, I mean, honestly, the chicken tenders are very bland, and the fries are like they're okay, but the sauce does a lot of legend. The sauce is good. But...
I mean, I ain't eating fucking plain chicken tenders anyway. Who does that?
No,
are you?
No, I'm saying that like that's all they have is chicken tenders. It's not like they have like their chicken sandwich is a couple of chicken tenders on a sandwich. Like that's all it is. And let's be honest, the French toast or the Texas toast, whatever it is, it's awesome. Tastes great. But the sauce is probably 80% of what really makes Raising Cane's good.
Yeah. Dave says, bro, where you live gotta suck, man. It always sounds like everyone's miserable. The wild part is, Dave, every year starting at this time, we'll have millions and millions of people flock to here. Like it's the greatest place on earth, dude. And I'm like, no, this place sucks. Go to a better beach. This one's not good. And come anyway. D-Rose included.
Damn right. Hey, to be fair, I mostly try to hang out at Buckrow. We come down to Oceanfront every now and then, but we do hang out on the Buckrow side more.
You're braver than me hanging out in Hampton. Just because it's like, dude, like I would much rather hang out at Oceanfront than I would hang out in Hampton. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Oh, hey, I will say, like, if we're getting something to eat, like, we would rather be on that side. Like, we would rather be on the Oceanfront side than we would on the Hampton side. That's for sure. And if we did get something on the Hampton side, it's definitely pickup. Like, I'm not doing nothing. I'm not doing nothing going inside or nothing like that.
Yeah, when you see a bunch of Waffle Houses and 7-Elevens, you know you're in the correct area.
Yeah. You know, you better come correct in that area. Let's say that.
That's where I live. Let's see. Have you guys ever been to Buc-ee's? I have not. And have you ever? And I know D-Rose.
I have not.
D-Rose ain't never even been out of Virginia. He just stayed there forever.
Hell yeah! I'm about to stay here for the rest of my damn life.
Yeah.
No. Hey, I've been to Ohio and Tennessee, North Carolina. So I've been a couple places.
He's been to driving distance from Virginia.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but not too far outside of the regular pretty close driving distance.
Yeah. All right. D-Rose, we gotta get into this, dude. Anyway, let me share the screen. First bit of news we have came out right after the podcast last week. This bad boy. I did screenshot this and I did. This wasn't what I was talking about. But this came out a few days ago. UFC Vegas 107. This is going to be headlining UFC Vegas 107. Macy Barber versus Erin Blanchfield, dude. And I've been calling for the fight since before Erin fought Rose, dude. After the Manon Fear fight, I was like, Erin Blanchfield needs to fight Macy Barber or go down to 115. She fought Rose next, which, wasn't ideal. But what I predicted to happen is finally happened. I think she loses to Macy Barber. But first of all, I'm not the biggest Macy Barber fan. Let's just put that out there. But Erin Blanchfield's striking defense is so ass, and Macy thumps, dude. I think Macy knocks out Erin, and then we see Erin go down to 115. Thoughts on this real quick?
I like the I think we had talked about it privately. I like the conviction, man. I mean, I love the fight too. I mean, I think just as far as the and I think Macy Barber's a little bit more well-rounded, but just in terms of the stylistic matchup and in terms of which opponent's game is stronger, you would obviously say that the grappling game of Blanchfield is going to be stronger than Macy Barber, and you would say Macy Barber's striking is going to be a lot better than Erin Blanchfield. So kind of the contrast of styles there. Two young competitors on the rise at flyweight right now, who you can kind of say is in this kind of next era type fighters. And for Aaron Blanchfield, as you said, I think there could be a potential move to 115 if she is to be beaten here. But also, if you beat somebody like Macy Barber, who is on a roll right now, 5 or 6 wins in a row, she's coming off to win against Rose Namajunas. She gets a win against Macy Barber. That puts Aaron Blanchfield right in contention. And for Macy Barber, you get a win against Aaron Blanchfield. That puts you right at the top. And I think you can make the argument that Macy would be fighting for the title after that. So good matchup for both. And I love that it's a main event.
Hell yeah, dude. I agree. Anyway, let me find the one that I sent to Anton last week right after we got off the pod. Right here. This is going to be at UFC Atlanta, June 14th, dude. This is just going to be on the card, not the main event or anything. We got Thug Rose Namajunas taking on Miranda, Fear the Maverick, June 14th. What's your thoughts on this, man?
This is a good matchup. I think it's a good test for Miranda Maverick. It's where she had a lot of hype coming into the UFC. She had some good wins early on in her career. She's kind of had some ups and downs, and she's kind of starting to get like a little bit more steady now. And she has taken fights against other opponents on short notice, and fights have fallen out and a bunch of this stuff. But I think this is kind of like the UFC's chance of saying like, hey, Miranda Maverick, here's your chance to announce yourself into the into that top 5, top 6 area as well in flyweight. And for Namajunas, this is just a chance for her to say, whether she's really going to be, is she here to stay or is she just doing this for a paycheck? We'll see when this fight happens, but I think it's a good matchup.
What confuses me a little bit is I thought these were trained together.
I don't know much of Miranda Maverick's background as far as where she trains or anything like that. I just assumed with Pat Barry and Rose Namajunas. I kept wanting to say Pat Namajunas for some reason, but for some reason Pat Barry and Rose Namajunas, I just assumed they just train together, and that's it, because I know Rose Namajunas doesn't even train with Trevor Whitman at this point for the most part now. So I figured Rose Namajunas wouldn't be training with anybody at this point.
Yeah. I know they have been in the past. I know when like they were training. Yeah, look. This was, when was this? July 2024. So this was last year. So they for sure have trained together. I know that it's been on and off for a while. So that very hesitant into putting any money on that fight at all, if I'm going to be honest, just because like when training partners fight, it's almost like they know each other too well, or they have too much respect, and it always goes to decision. I hate it. Anyway. Where at? Man, I don't know where my thing went.
If only you could bet on it for the fighters that have too much respect for one another. Like, there's
Right.
the type of money line to bet that. Like, I would 1000% bet the yes on that.
Yeah, same. Anyway, our next bit of news here, we got Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira 2 in the works. What's your thoughts on that? And I believe I saw it was going to be for UFC 319. Here we go. UFC 319. What's your thoughts, man? Too soon? Not soon enough? Immediate title shot? Yeah, August.
Yeah, I mean, as far as, if Pereira wants the title shot, man, I mean, he's got to, I would assume that he's got to, kind of got to get on the horse. And I would say at this point, he's 37 years old. I don't really know if him waiting is really going to help him do too much, because you do have guys like Carlos Ulberg, and you do have Yuri Prochazka and guys like that who, Alex Pereira is a star. I do think that he can get a title shot whenever, but I would also not play with the UFC's patience in terms of I do want to fight, I don't want to fight, because they will easily pass you up for another person and leave you sitting by the wayside as well. So, and I don't think August is too quick. I mean, they just fought this month in March. So, I mean, that's 5 months in between fights. So I don't think that's necessarily the longest timetable. But that was still, most fighters like to do like 8-12 week camps sometimes. So, I mean, I think you could still have a few weeks off from the last fight, and then you'll have to ramp it up for the summer. But I think that's a fair timeline.
But he's got to like recover though, and going to fucking corner Sean Strickland, and then go to Australia, and then stop doing all these side quests. Just train out, recover and train. We cannot have Uncle Live be our champion, dude. We can't.
Yeah, because I think if Alex goes out there and knocks him out, we're not seeing a trilogy at all.
No shot. Phil offers John Jones $50 million to fight Francis Ngannou, dude. You think that's true? And do you think if somehow John just retires from the UFC, he's able to just pop over to PFL, dude? Like, or is UFC going to hold him to some fights on contract and shit like that?
I mean, if they offered me to fight Francis Ngannou for $50 million, I mean, would I be terrified? Yes, but I'm going over there. I say that to say it doesn't matter that they offer John Jones $50 million to fight, because John Jones is under contract with the UFC, and I would have to imagine that they're probably under for a certain amount of fights. I know that they really messed up last time with Francis Ngannou for setting a certain time table on his contract versus a number of fights, which is what they normally do. And I would imagine even if John Jones is close to the end, there would be some type of negotiating period to where there's like a no contact thing for at least 6 months to a year, and that the UFC would be able to match whoever, matching clause and all that stuff. I don't know the exact paperwork on the ins and outs of all that stuff of his contract, obviously. We're just stating that John Jones is a smart businessman, and I don't think that he's just going to leave himself hanging out there high to dry like that. And he's not fighting for no PFL, dude. This is let's just get that out of the way now.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, man. So let's see what else we got here. And Nick Diaz is doing good and healthy, apparently.
Good.
According to Cesar Gracie Gym. That's good. Look at this. We got
looks like that looked like a picture of like him, like it looked like a picture of Nick Diaz, like almost like a remembrance type of
right.
Like I thought you were going to say something a lot worse based on the way that picture looked. I was like, oh no.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We got a movie poster, UFC 16. How about that?
The Sugar Show. He's back.
He has a hook.
That's your boy.
Well how does he have a hook? You see that?
That's a great question. That is not making a lot of sense if you ask me.
Yeah. Ilya changed his name from no longer El Matador. It's now the Legend.
Le Leanda. I mean, I like it. I mean, he's trying to switch up his whole identity. He's trying to switch up his I guess his sort of mindset going up to 155. So I like the mentality, man.
Fair. Yeah, it's a meat hook. Nice. There we go. Maybe that's why it makes sense. Sean loses to Merab. Does he go to featherweight? I don't know. What do you think, T-Rose? That's a good question.
I mean, I don't really think Sean's big for 135. I mean
he's tall. Yeah.
But but I mean, if he's having trouble fighting on takedowns against Merab, Merab is a relentless wrestler, but not the greatest with like the control. I would just imagine if he's having trouble with that, 145 would give him just a little bit of trouble with the wrestlers. So no, I don't think moving weight class is going to be an issue for Sean O'Malley. Merab's just hell to deal with for anybody. But which is part of the reason why I don't like the immediate rematch. I think give Sean time to build himself. I mean, one fight would not hurt for Sean to come back, get a win, get a good surge of confidence, and then take the Merab fight, because I don't see anybody else beating Merab. But but they want to do it for the money, and I understand.
Yeah, and then Muhammad Makayev signs with Karate Combat. What's your thoughts on that? Because he's not really a striker.
Yeah, no, but I mean, Karate Combat. Pretty much it seems to be like they have MMA, like that's what it is.
Yeah.
Except it's just in that little whatever that is, the pit, I guess you could say. So that's not a bad signing. Get some experience and maybe work his way back to the UFC at some point in the future.
Yeah. And the last one that I have right here, man. I know you're excited about this, so I'll just let you talk, man.
Yeah, no, this is an awesome fight, man. And as I said, we're going to have to start calling Josh Van clockwork at this point, because dude, he fights. Guaranteed every 4 months, dude. Like he will make sure that he is in front of as many fans and the UFC as far as his fighting as much as he can. I love that he is young right now, and he knows that, hey, if I want to get to the point where I'm making big money and stuff like that, I got to keep fighting. And we've seen the talent that the dude has, man. He's already 6-1 in the UFC, and he has only been in the UFC since 2023. And I'm talking like the end of 23, because wasn't his first fight against Kevin Borjas on that MSG card? Like, I'm pretty sure that was his first fight in the UFC. So November of 2023 till now, you've already gotten 7 fights in the UFC. Like,
it's Kevin Holland numbers.
Yeah, dude, that's absolutely nuts. Just crazy to see. Or I think he might have had one fight before that or something like that. But even then, in 2 years, you've had 7 fights. Crazy, man, but good, talented kid. Bruno Silva's good as well, but I think that's a good matchup for Josh Van, man. And not, the way that Starboy Manel Cop, I don't know why I blanked on his name. The way that Manel Cop put it on Bruno Silva, I know I'm very confident in Josh Van through a decision, but man, I got to see Josh Van hurting Bruno Silva something proper, man, to where I can maybe see a finish.
Fair enough, dude. That is the last one that have anything else, man?
No, that's pretty much it for us, man. We can
all right.
We can roll into the fights this weekend.
Antoine wants to know, do we ever get Sugar versus Sandhagen? I think maybe for a title, but that's it.
It doesn't seem like it, at least. No, like for me personally, I don't think it is.
Yeah. And then I think Van wants the bag climbing the rankings, but it's cool looking at his interviews. It's the money for sure. Yeah, I mean, he's young and he came from absolutely nothing. So he's just trying to get his life started, man.
Yeah. No, exactly. I mean, dude, you got to think he's probably still on one of those early contracts. So, like, what? He's probably making like 20 and 20 or something like that. 20 to show, 20
probably
to
10
win.
and 10.
Yeah, well, and let's just say at best 20 and 20. 20 to show, 20 to win. If you're not winning those fights, you're making 20 grand, and you're having to split that amongst your agent, your coaches, and all that stuff. So you're talking about all this training and all this stuff that you did. You're probably making like what, 7 grand,
4 or 5 grand.
Yeah, if you end up losing a fight, you know what I mean? So that's why it's so important for these guys to win and lose, so they can make sure they can get as much money, so they can make sure they pay everybody out, as well as them making a pretty good living as well. So I can understand why Josh Van is continually at it. And man, he's good as well. So he's only lost 1 fight, in a fight that I think he was on his way to potentially winning before he lost. But man, I love me some Josh Van, man. I really do. I'm a big fan.
Yeah. Does Corey ever fight for the undisputed title?
No.
I think he might get a shot at it. I don't think he wins it though.
I think he's had his opportunity with the interim belt and stuff like that, but I think that I don't know, something about his game. It's like ever since like that Rob Font fight, maybe, or I don't know, the TJ Dillashaw fight. He just kind of had like this thing where I don't know if it's taking him. I don't know. I think he's dialed back his style a lot, in my opinion. He's such a smart fighter, like IQ wise, but I think it's taken away from his potential danger that he imposes on people because he's such a smart guy that he's not as aggressive as he used to be before. And I think it's just hurt his fight style a little bit to where I don't think the UFC is looking to do him any favors.
Yeah. Does a win over Figueroa get sent ahead of the title fight? I don't think so.
No, not in my opinion.
All right. So with that being said, let's get into the UFC Mexico City, Brandon Moreno versus Steve Erceg, our picks and our preview for this upcoming weekend. So, I stopped sharing my screen. I just needed to share the other screen. So, oops. Let's see. Yeah, let's start here. All right. So this upcoming weekend, we have UFC Fight Night, Moreno versus Erceg. It's going to take place. Fight card's going to start at 4 p.m. East Coast time. You can watch this on ESPN too. You don't even got to watch ESPN Plus this week. Anyway, it's going to take place in Arena CDMX in Mexico City, Mexico. We do have 13 fights headlined by the Assassin Baby, Brandon Moreno, taking on Astro Boy, Steve Erceg. We got Manuel Loco Torres taking on Drew Dober. We've got Kelvin KG Gaslam taking on Body Bags, Joe Pfeiffer. We've got El Nino Problema, Raul Rosas Jr. taking on Vince Vendetta Morales. We've got David Martinez taking on Simon Oliveira. We've got Ronaldo Lazy Boy Rodriguez taking on Kevin El Gallo Negro Borjas, the black cock in Spanish. I don't. That's his fight name. We got Charez taking on CJ Vergara. We've got Atiba I had this down earlier and I forgot it. Atiba Gaudier taking on Jose Medina, dude. It's Jose Medina fight week, for those that don't know. We got Melky Costa, Ezekiel Costa taking on C-Rod, Christian Rodriguez. We've got Julia Palestri taking on Lupita Godinez. We've got Gifted, Rafa Garcia taking on Vince from Hell, Pichel. We've got Jamal Proy taking on Gabriel Fly Miranda, and Austin Thud Hubbard taking on Markel Medeiros. Fights did fall off this card. Yasmin Jaregi versus Diani Barboza. Yasmin Jaregi versus Julia Palostri. Yair Rodriguez versus Diego Lopez. I didn't ever hear about that one. Anyway, Brandon Moreno versus Steve Erceg. That is the main event. What are they talking about? Anyway, Rafa Garcia versus Joaquim Silva. Daniel Zellhuber versus Elvis Brenner. That would have been a banger. And Daniel Zellhuber was going to take on Austin Hubbard. But now Markel Medeiros is now going to take on Austin Hubbard. So, thoughts on the card as a whole, D-Rose?
It's a good card, man. I like it. Of course, obviously they're going to have the the crowd favorites as far as the Mexican fighters and stuff. I think they're pretty well represented, and some big names on the card. We've been asking for some big names on some TV cards for a while now, and I thought that they tried to do something with the card last week as far as placating to the UFC fans in the UK area. But I think, as far as the fighters on here, obviously they're placating to the Mexican crowd. But I think also on fights that can deliver as well. So hardcore fans and the Mexican fans can all unite in what I think could be a pretty big night. I think for a TV card, man, I think you're talking, I think you're talking B+, man.
Yeah, fair enough. And I like what Antoine says here. I love how they go from the UK straight to Mexico, right? Like, don't even take any Apex, cards in between or anything like that. That's pretty sick, man. Pretty sick. UFC's on the road.
Yeah, no, they're I love when they're on the road, man. You get the energy from the crowd. In the Apex cards, they're going to happen. I understand. But I think, if you're going to have 4 cards a month, 1 Apex card, and then you can do the roads. You can do some road shows, man. Let's even if you're just doing small cities in the U.S. for now, or whatever the case may be, we can get a lot of that stuff. If you could do a lot of these, if you could do the Apex for fighters coming over across from wherever in the world they're coming from, you could schedule a fight in Nashville, or you could schedule a fight somewhere in Virginia. I know they've been to Norfolk a couple times. You could go to Florida, or you could go to Idaho, or just places like that. You don't have to stay in the UFC Apex. I know you can make money there. I know it's pretty profitable, but you could also make big gates with the ticket sales and stuff like that too. And I love the crowd pop that the crowd brings at the events.
Hell yeah, man. Same. So, D-Rose, what we are going to do, we're going to do this together, D-Rose. So, I'm going to share my picks tab instead, and hopefully you can pull up your Tapology. We can do this together. You go ahead and save your picks now, and then that way, at worst, you just have to ride with your picks that you've had, and you don't have to worry about saving them at the end of the week. But Friday, I'm still going to send you, hey, make sure you update your picks, because I think Melky Coffee, and who else is on this card that just fought not too long ago? Vince Morales. I think Vince Morales and Mekizel Basta both have fought more recently than you have updated your Tapology picks and saved them. Because it's only been a couple weeks.
Well, and the worst part too is that I did it last week, and I wasn't even signed in when I made the picks. So I went back and checked, and I literally saved the picks to not a profile because I didn't have anything saved.
All right, so you guys get my picks off the jump, because I've already made them and I've already saved them. So my pick is already displayed, but D-Rose will have his option to tell you guys his. So up first, we got Austin Hubbard taking on Markel Medeiros. Austin Thud Hubbard is 16-8-0 out of his last 5 fights. He has 3 wins and 2 losses. 33 years old, 5'10", and a 71-inch reach. Markel Medeiros is 9-1 overall out of his last 5 fights. 5-0. 28 years old, 5'10", and 69.5-inch reach. D-Rose, for me personally, I think Austin Hubbard, he's been in the UFC 2 times now, kind of seen his ceiling, if you will. Kind of a tough, gritty fighter, going to stay in your face, but has technical defense and kind of gets busted up almost every single one of his fights. As where Markel Medeiros, coming off the Contender Series, and in his last fight, looked pretty over, like Quinones did win via decision, and I think that's what happens here again this week, man. I just think Markel Medeiros, coming from Factory X, going to have solid leg kicks, going to keep Austin Hubbard kind of, hesitant to engage because you don't want to get leg kicked. He's got a solid jab as well. So give me, as you see right here, Markel Medeiros via decision for me. How about you, D-Rose?
Yeah, I think this is a interesting fight. I know Medeiros has got some power. I know he's pretty dangerous. Man, I am interested because I really believe Medeiros is taking this fight on short notice.
Yes.
I know Hubbard kind of technically came in on short notice for Elvis Brenner.
Yes. No, yeah, it was Daniel Zellhuber versus Elvis Brenner. Elvis Brenner pulled out. Austin Hubbard stepped in for Elvis Brenner, and then Daniel Zellhuber pulled out. And now Medeiros is stepping in for Daniel Zellhuber.
Right, yeah. So it's a whole mix-up. It's almost kind of like how Jamal Hill and Khalil Roundtree ended up being Roman Dolidze and Anthony Smith. Kind of similar mix-up here to a certain extent. So I understand that. But Austin Hubbard having a little bit more of the, I guess, longer notice, you could say, getting ready for a similar explosive striker, shorter guy. Medeiros, again, explosive striker, knockout power, well-rounded, but haven't really seen anybody put that wrestling pressure on him just yet. Give me Austin Hubbard for the upset pick here, man. I like the experience gap. Madeiro's taking this fight on short notice as well. Give me Austin Hubbard by decision here. I like Austin Hubbard.
All right. One other thing to mention, I know you guys haven't heard it enough this week already. We are in Mexico City, which means we are at the highest elevation that UFC fights out of all their venues. So something to keep in mind, people could be gassing this weekend, which is why we will probably talk about next fight and someone gassing. So first fight of the night, me and D-Rose are split on. I got Markel Medeiros, D-Rose on Austin Thud Hubbard. Next fight, we've got Pretty Boy Emmers taking on Gabriel Fly Miranda. Jamal Emmers is 28-0 out of his last 5 fights. He has 3 losses and 2 wins. 35 years old, 5'10" and a 74-inch reach, while Gabriel Fly Miranda is 17-7 overall. His last fights, 3 wins and 2 losses. 35 years old, 5'11" and a 71-inch reach. Currently, odds for this fight are minus 355 Jamal Emmers, and Gabriel Fly Miranda is plus 280. I'm going to be short here. You see my pick already is Jamal Emmers KO round 3. And that is because Gabriel Fly Miranda, he's got 1 round. He wins round 1 submission, or he loses because he gasses. And we're at elevation this week, which means he's going to gas even quicker. However, Jamal Emmers, let's not act like he's a genius here, because probably one of the lowest IQ fighters we have in UFC. He's striking with Giga Chikadze for 2 rounds, and then decides to take him down in the 3rd round and just starts dominating there, but loses the fight because he decided to strike with Giga Chikadze. And then he had a fight with Pat Sabatini, dropped Pat Sabatini, a couple times, then jumps down into his guard and tries to leg lock Pat Sabatini. And while you're trying to leg lock someone, guess what? Your legs are exposed. So he was playing footsie with Pat Sabatini after dropping him, and then got leg locked himself. So kind of an idiot, not going to lie. But Jamal Emmers should win this fight. Jamal Emmers should win this fight by later round 2, round 3 knockout. So that's why I'm going Jamal Emmers round 3 knockout. How about you, D-Rose?
Man, and I'll tell you, I was also one who was confident on Jamal Emmers against Nate Landwehr. I thought, going to keep the distance and everything, and he decided to try to stand in the pocket. I mean, Nate Landwehr absolutely wore him out. Like, dude,
if you don't beat him,
yeah, I mean, and he definitely did not beat Nate Landwehr that night. He did not beat him. He did not hurt him. He did not beat him. He didn't do anything. Nate Landwehr ran through Jamal Emmers, which makes me so hesitant to pick him. But I'm just not confident picking Gabriel Miranda here, so I'll keep it short and sweet here. I'll go. Yeah, and he's known to get knocked out as well, so I'll go Jamal Emmers here. But I'm not super confident in him getting the finish either, especially coming off getting finished himself. Let's go with Jamal Emmers.
That's why I said KO round 3. This ain't for, like Jamal, like Emmers getting, putting the pressure on another finish. This is just Gabriel Fly Miranda being in a UFC octagon for 15 minutes. I don't think he gets tired just standing in there, dude. So I think he just passes out in the 3rd round, dude, for being so tired. So TGO, you pass out, dude.
He's going to have to pull like a Greg Hardy over there in the corner asking for an inhaler.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about, Antoine. Just Jamal Emmers, not the smartest fighter. But me and D-Rose both on Jamal Emmers. D-Rose on decision. I am on round 3 knockout. Up next, we have gifted Rafa Garcia. 16-4 overall out of his last 5 fights. He has 3 wins and 2 losses. He is from Mexico, fighting in a Baja California, Mexico. He's 30 years old, 5'7" and a 70-inch reach. Currently, minus 485 favorite. That's a really big favorite. Vince from Hell Pichel is 14-4 overall. Out of his last 5 fights, he has 3 wins and 2 losses. He is fighting, why it says Simi Valley, California. He's from hell. I don't know why we have to, correct him every time. It says right there, from hell. You can't be from 2 places. He's born from hell. He's fighting out of Simi Valley, California. That makes sense. Anyway. 2-year-old, 5'10", in a 72-inch reach. Currently a plus 370 dog. So for me, you see it. Rafa Garcia, gifted Rafa Garcia via decision. I just think Rafa Garcia goes out here and just takes down Vince Pichel every round, just controls him, lands enough ground and pound them to keep it there. Not going to get stood up any of the round. Just going to be on top. And pounded. The Mexican crowd going to be cheering for gifted Rafa Garcia. Give me Rafa Garcia via decision. Which way are you going here, man?
Yeah, I'll keep it short and sweet because I think the same thing. I think this will be an uneventful fight, but as you said, a fight that's going to get the Mexican crowd going because it's going to be one of the guys getting the dub here. I think Rafa Garcia just kind of wrestles his way to a decision win.
I'm going to send them back to hell. Back to hell for Vince Pichel.
Back where you belong.
All right. Up next, we have Julia Palostri taking on Lupi Godinez. You see my pick already, because can I not? I'm like Lupi Godinez is the #1 fan over here. Anyway, Psycho Julia Palostri is 13-4 over. Out of her last 5 fights, she has 4 wins and 1 loss. Fighting out of Brazil, 27 years old, 5'2" in a 63-inch reach, while Lupita Godinez is 12-5 overall. Out of her last 5 fights, 3 wins and 2 losses. Lost to Vernon via decision and lost to Mackenzie Dern via decision. Fighting out of Mexico, shout out Mexico there. Going to be 31 years old, 5'2" in a 61-inch reach. You see, my pick is Lupi Godinez via decision. She ain't going to lose in her hometown, dude. You know she's training the elevation, getting ready for this fight. And Palostri, you lose to Josephine Knudsen, who is a pretty solid fighter. I'm a fan of her, but UFC has gone on to cut her from the UFC. And, she did lose her last fight as well. Lupi has all the tools to get this done. It's just... You're going to be screaming at your TV if you bet on it. Come on, Louie. Can you just get the takedown? Can you, it's just like she always wants to do the opposite of what you want her to do. So I do. She's all around better everywhere, though. So give me Lupi Godinez to win this fight via decision. Which way are you going here, man?
I don't know if I'd necessarily say Lupi is better all over. I would say Palestri's the better striker. I think she's
got
better.
Clean calls. What are you talking about? She had good boxing. Not the best kicker.
Lupi's got better power, I would say. But I think who's the better technical striker? Yeah, I would give Palestri the advantage there. I mean, but I think that the forward pressure that Lupi fights with a lot. I think that's one of the things that is kind of like her. I guess what she's most known for. But I think it kind of gets her caught up in certain fights to a certain extent too. I think that's kind of what got her caught up in the Verna Jandiroba fight, was that she was getting a little too aggressive at times.
Was fucking playing fucking footies with fucking Verna Jandiroba.
Yeah, well, in terms of she was. There were times that she was trying to initiate the grappling, but and then just kind of doing too much. But was trying to really be the bully, and then was trying to play in Verna's world, and it was like she was kind of getting caught up in this identity crisis type thing, where I think that if she goes out there and tries to execute her game plan, probably get the fight to the ground, that's where I think Lupi can get the job done. But if she leaves it on the feet, man, and gets sucked into a little bit of a dogfight, I think Palacios got the striking man that could really give Lupi some problems. I'm going to go Lupi by decision here, but I'm going to be honest. I'm not super confident in that. And if I'm being honest, I will not be surprised if Palacios got a decision.
She ain't on my She ain't on my most confident picks this week, D-Rose. Currently minus 238, the favorite, Lupe Godinez, and Julia Palustri plus 195. And, if this was more of a fight, I would probably be more heavy on Lupe, but minus 240, basically, it's just like, I've seen this before, man. We've seen this before. We can't be that confident in it. We can't. I am picking Lupe via decision, though. Up next, we've got Ezekiel Melky Costa taking on C-Rod, Christian Rodriguez. So Melky Costa is 22-7 overall, fighting out of Brazil, 28 years old, 5'10" and a 71-inch reach, fighting out of Shoebox, João Emilio. Anyway, C-Rod is 12 overall out of his last 5 fights, 4 wins and 1 loss, 27 years old, 5'7" and a 71-inch reach, fighting out of Rufus-Sport. At least I think so. Current odds for this fight, minus 166 for C-Rod, and Ezekiel Costa plus 140, your dog. Over-unders 2.5 here. Overs minus 195, unders plus 150. You see my pick, D-Rose. It is C-Rod via decision. But that will not be my bet. My bet will be C-Rod 3 or decision. Mostly because, as I said at the second fight of this card, we are at elevation, and Melky Costa doesn't have the best gas tank in the world and training at sea level in Brazil, where C-Rod, I know he trains at elevation, and I know he's been in Mexico City for the past, I think, 6-8 weeks for this fight. So I know he's in shape for this fight, being at elevation. What scares me, and me and you were talking a little bit about this fight before the pod, and Melky Coffee is a very tall guy, 5'10" compared to 5'7", so he's going to have like 3 inches, at least 3 inches, because he was taller than Andre Fili, dude. What scares me is the ability to wrap up C-Rod's neck, because let's pretend like Julian Rosa didn't just now do it 7 months ago, and it could happen, and C-Rod's lost twice, so. It wouldn't surprise me too much if C-Rod got choked out, but my pick is just for C-Rod to dog out the first round, a little bit smoother sailing in the second, and for C-Rod to either get that third round to finish or to get that decision, at least winning those last 2 rounds. So give me C-Rod via decision after a sketchy first round. How about you, D-Rose?
Yeah, I think, honestly, my biggest thing, I wonder if this fight's even going to happen. 2 dudes who are known to have weight cutting issues. Now, Christian Rodriguez obviously had the weight cutting issues at 35, not 45. And I know they said that they've got his diet routine down at this point. But Melky Costa, I know he fought at 155 at one point in time. He just fought on it was February 22nd, and he's back in there again. Is him ballooning up and then going back down, or did he balloon back up after his last fight with Andre Fili? I don't know. But yeah, I mean,
I think he called in the octagon that he was going to fight as soon as possible, so he probably didn't balloon back up.
Yeah,
it happened like it was around 1 sub, so he took no damage or anything like that. So I think he probably stayed light, to be honest.
Right, you want to make sure as far as how that weight cut goes, man, because again, a 3-week turnaround that's super quick against a guy who's going to be super tough like Christian Rodriguez. For me personally, I think Christian Rodriguez, I don't think he's going to be getting taken down. Now, again, he can fall into a takedown or fall into a submission, similar to how Andre Fili did against Melky Costa as well. And, for me personally, though, I think Christian Rodriguez, better boxing, better striker, smart fighter overall. Christian Rodriguez by decision for me.
Okay. Me and D-Rose both on C-Rod 3 there. What do you guys think Christian's ceiling is at featherweight? He has such a good resume, all those undefeated fighters. I think for me to feel better about it, I would like him to put on a little bit of size, because he's not the tallest featherweight, and he don't really have a lot of muscle either. So it's almost like he can probably make 135 if he has like 8-10 weeks to do it. But once again, I think if he, gets to top 10, he might start running into some problems. How about you, D-Rose?
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to realize any championship potential at 145, but I think he can make a great career. I think he could be a fighter, top 15, top 10 guy. Makes a good money, makes a good matchups, and maybe some main events.
Dude, when's the UFC like fucking gonna realize what they have here? It's like, hey, you keep feeding him to all these undefeated guys, and he's beating all these defeated guys. Why don't you maybe give this guy a little bit of a push? Like let's see what C-Rod's got. Like instead of seeing what the undefeated guys have against C-Rod,
Yeah. Well, and truthfully, I've heard C-Rod say before that he likes the matchups when he gets them. And two, I would say at this point, if he's not trying to rush himself into any type of championship opportunity just yet, I mean, honestly, as you see, his record's 12-2. All that's doing is just getting him good experience against good fighters who might not be quite there yet, but he's getting a lot of good experience against a lot of good fighters, against a lot of different styles that can prepare him for a potential climb up as well. So, and he keeps getting wins. If he's getting show and win money, hey, he's going to keep getting guaranteed pay. Why not keep going out here and fighting these guys until he eventually makes himself undeniable?
Fair enough. Me and D-Rose both on C-Rod. I'm on 3 or decision. How about you, D-Rose? Are you just on decision?
3. Yes, same 3 decision.
Okay, fair enough. So up next, it's Jose Medina fight week. Jose Chico Medina. So here we go. We got you see my pick. It is Atiba Gaudier via decision, and yeah, it's just mostly because I don't think you can knock out Jose Medina. To be honest, he's just made of. I don't know what he's made of. He just gets beat to death all 3 rounds and just keeps walking forward. So anyway, let's get into it. We've got Atiba Gaudier, the silent assassin, is 6-1 overall, fighting out of Cameroon. And I believe when he walked out on the Contender Series, they're like first fighter to appear on UFC from Cameroon. And I'm like, they're trying to fuck Francis over. Like it was kind of odd to see them like why are y'all trying to ignore Francis like that? Anyway, he is 22 years old, 6'4" and an 81-inch reach, while Jose Chico Medina is 11-4 overall. Out of his last fight, he has won 3 of them and lost 2. The last 2 being a decision loss to Magomed Gadzhiesulov Contender Series, which Gadzhiesulov isn't a good fighter. And then we saw him in the UFC versus Zach Reese get pounded his face on for all 3 rounds. Zach Reese would have his hands on his hips like in the 3rd round. Like, what do I have to do to this guy? And he ends up winning via decision. He is from Bolivia, 33 years old, 6 foot and a 74.5-inch reach. He did fight on the Contender Series at, I think, 205. Cut down the 185 and was, happy with how he looked. But to be honest, he could still probably go down another weight class. He still did have a little bit of extra weight on him. Gowdy is basically this new guy that they're trying to prop up to be the new Francis. And this dude has absolute lethal knockout power. But once again, dude, I don't know if you can get Medina out of there with anything less than a baseball bat or a shovel. So, yeah, give me Gaudier to win via decision. But if he knocked him out, I would be like, holy shit, this has got some power. So, Gaudier via decision for me. How about you, D-Rose?
Yeah, I think, honestly, I think you summed it up as well as you could. I think Medina, is he the greatest fighter? No, but the dude's got an iron chin, and he's hard to put out. And I think, I know you said a baseball bat. I mean, I think you would literally have to knock this dude out with an atomic bomb. Like, that's the only way you can knock out Jose Medina is if you just drop a bomb on him. And even then, I still think, it's going to be cockroaches, it's going to be Twinkies, and it's going to be Jose Medina. Left after after the world ends, those are going to be the 3 things that are left here on Earth. It's cockroaches, Twinkies, and Jose Medina. That dude's so tough, man. But he's not that good. Give me Gautier here, and I'd say the same. Let's go by decision.
All right. Hopefully he can. Hopefully this big Cameroonian dude can, knock this dude out. But I don't know, dude. I don't know. Dude, and we're at elevation too. What if he just beats on him for 2 rounds and then just gasses and Jose Medina comes on in the third, dude?
Dude, I would not be I would not be surprised, especially for some of the newcomers or undefeated fighters that we've seen take L's this year. I would not be surprised.
Yeah, man. So me and D-Rose both on Gaudier. Yeah, that fight's got crazy odds. As I don't even. Oh yeah, here we go. Plus 320 Jose Medina, minus 410 Gaudier. Anyway, up next we've got Edgar Chairez taking on CJ Vergara. You see my pick already is Edgar Chairez via decision. Edgar Chairez 11-6 overall out of his last 5 fights, 2 wins, 2 losses, and 1 premature stoppage there. Anyway, but we saw it the next fight where he got the same thing anyway. Currently 29 years old, 5'7" and a 72-inch reach, while CJ Vergara is 12-6 out of his last 5 fights, 2 wins. Lost, 33 years old, 5'6" and a 68-inch reach. Currently odds for this fight minus 258 for Edgar Chairez. CJ Vergara is 210, your underdog. I'm going to keep it short here. CJ Vergara is tough, but I think that's his best attribute. He can last you if you gas, but I think this is going to be a striking fight for all 3 rounds because CJ Vergara will go to the ground if you try to take him down or something like that. But I don't think I've ever seen him actually shoot for a takedown. And I know Edgar Chairez, maybe he shot for a takedown, but usually he wraps up subs when people shoot on him, or he just likes to wrap up the guillotine from the clinch position. So with that being said, I like Edgar Chairez as striking, and I know it says he's only 1 inch taller, but I believe Edgar Chairez is going to be a lot taller, and he does have a little bit of a reach there, 68 to 72-inch reach. So give me Edgar Chairez to knuckle up CJ Vergara at least the first 2 rounds, and then that last 3rd round is going to be pretty boring. So give me Edgar Chairez via decision. How about you, D-Rose?
I like this fight here. I think Vergara, as you said, his best attribute is toughness. He's got decent power at times. And I think for the most part, defensively, he's okay. I know Tamarov blasted him last time. I think Chairez, obviously, his jiu-jitsu is his best game. He doesn't have the best offensive wrestling, but if he does end up getting you to make a mistake, you shoot and you're a little lazy, or if he's able to get the fight down to the ground, that's where Chairez can really take advantage here. I think, I think someone who has had a little bit of I wouldn't say a tougher road in the UFC, but he's had some tough fights, Edgar Chairez has, and, some good experience level. I think, give me Chairez, man. I like Chairez by submission here. I know Vergara has not been finished many times, but he has been submitted, I believe, a couple times in the UFC. So let's go Chairez. We'll go round 2 sub.
All right. And are you making these picks on your Tapology as we're going, D-Rose?
Yes.
All right. Me and D-Rose both on Edgar Chairez there. So we'll move on to the next fight, being Lazy Boy Rodriguez taking on El Gallo Negro, Kevin Borjas. Lazy Boy is 17-2 overall out of his last fight, 5-0. 25 years old, 5'6" and a 65-inch reach, while Kevin Borjas is 9-3 overall out of his last fights. He is 1-3 and lost 2 to Josh Van and Alessandro Costa. 27 years old, 5'5" and a 68 reach. See, my pick is Ronaldo Lazy Boy Rodriguez via decision. But you see this. You see what I highlight, heroes? The Peru there. I might end up making you know what? This is going to be a pick change right here. I think Moreno has excellent boxing, excellent striking, but his ground game, just like every other Peruvian, is pretty ass. Not even going to act like he can't get taken down here, and I expect him to get taken down. And I will change my pick from Rodriguez via decision to I think we get a late Ronaldo Rodriguez round 2 submission, early round 3. So I'm going to change my pick to Ronaldo Rodriguez submission, just because Kevin Borjas' takedown defense and his grappling is ass, just like every other Peruvian. Lost via decision against Josh Van, and got knocked out against Costa from back mount. And I could see Lazy Boy kind of doing that same thing, but also wrapping up that rear naked. What about you, D-Rose? Which way are you going here?
Yeah, for me personally, I think similar to you, as far as I think Kevin Borjas, his grappling defense is not the best, and I could see Ronaldo Rodriguez taking advantage of that. But go back to that Ode Osborne fight. I did pick Ode Osborne in that fight, and I thought Ode Osborne did win that fight.
He got dropped.
Got dropped, and honestly, I thought he lost the 3rd round, dude. I'm just being honest. I thought he absolutely gassed, and I thought, he got the takedown there in like the last 15, 20 seconds or whatever the case may be. But Ronaldo Rodriguez, he's a fun fighter, but he can get hit sometimes. If Kevin Borjas, he's got good striking, he got good boxing. So I think if he's able to land his boxing, Kevin Borjas can maybe land a precision shot. But outside of like some precision shot that puts Ronaldo Rodriguez down, I think this should be Ronaldo Rodriguez's fight to lose. I'm going to go Rodriguez by decision here.
All right, so you're taking my original pick there. They want to know if you fucks with the PB and J's.
Yeah, 100% love peanut butter jelly, dude. I love Uncrustables.
Dude, what I type here?
Yeah, 1000%. You know it, man, dude. I love me some Uncrustables. Hey, not only I like making peanut butter and jelly at the home. At the home upstairs with the with my own peanut butter and jelly, but hey, if I'm at work, I just got one sitting in the freezer or something like that, or I could just run to the crib and grab one. Hey, come back with one, leave it out for 30 minutes. Hey, man, I'm telling you, they're the shiz. You got to get you the raspberry flavored ones. The raspberry jelly, man, I never thought it'd be good until I tried those, and man, it's awesome.
Fair enough. Did CJ get called a loss here? I don't think so. I would like to see a man lose his job. I wish Lamar would lose their job.
That's terrible.
No, man, I think Ronaldo. Oh no! If I was Peruvian, my fight name would be Peruvian Powder. Nice, James the Peruvian Powder Yontot would have been so, or Hamed Peruvian Powder Yontot would have fit with the machine gun, right? What about Reese's cups and stuff? Raspberry shout out.
Hell yeah!
I fucks heavy with the Reese's cups. I haven't had one in a while. But I actually got some Reese's ice creams earlier. Those are pretty good, but they're like this big, dude. Like, where's the rest of it? I had to eat 2 of them. I was upset because they only have 4 left in the box. It's like $6 for that thing.
I like Reese's. My favorite Reese's is probably like the Reese's Sticks. I love Reese's Sticks.
Yeah,
they're so good.
Those are good. Yeah,
it's like the perfect
and it's weird
chocolate balance.
It's weird because I used to love like the Nutty Buddies, but like the Reese's Sticks are like a better version of the Nutty Buddies. It's weird, right?
100% they are. They 100% are. They're awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, back to it. Up next, we do have David Martinez taking on Simon Oliveira, and this is one I have the least care or confidence on, pretty much on this entire card here. We got David Martinez, the Black Spartan, 11-1 overall, fighting out of Mexico, 26 years old, 5'6", and a 66-inch reach, while Simon Oliveira is 18-5 overall. Out of his last 5, 3 wins, 2 losses. He's fighting out of Brazil, 33 years old, 5'4", and a 66-inch reach. For me, I don't think Simon Oliveira is a good dude. And this kind of feels like a spot the UFC is just kind of serving up one of the young prospects up to a Brazilian that's not that good, dude. Lost to Tony Gravely won on the Contender Series via split decision. Lost to Tony Gravely via decision. And then got finished by Daniel Marcos, dude. If there's one thing about Daniel Marcos, he's probably the best Peruvian fighter, but he's got no finishing in, dude. It's just like he does the bare minimum to win, but he does win. He's a good fighter, but Simon Oliveira, you just see the prospect that he is at this point. 18-5. Yeah, so give me the Black Spartan, David Martinez, to win this fight via decision. And it's not because I think David Martinez is good or anything like that. It's just I think Simon Oliveira is just not good, not UFC level at all. How about you, D-Rose?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going into this fight, not a lot of conviction at all either way. I'm just going to take Martinez by decision. And again, that is no conviction whatsoever. I just don't think Simon Oliveira is that good. End of the day, coming off of a long layoff. I know he's still 33, but coming off, what was it, 2-year layoff? I think it's going to be kind of hard to jump right back in there and get right back at it. So let's go David Martinez by decision.
All right, me and you on the same thing there. Next, we've got Raul Rosas Jr. taking on Vendetta Morales. Raul El Nino Problemo. Rosas Jr. is 10-1 overall, 20-year-old, 5'9" and a 67-inch reach, while Vince Vendetta Morales is 16-9 overall out of his last 5, 3 wins, losses. 34 years old, 5'7" and a 70-inch reach. D-Rose, Vince Morales, not a bad fighter. I did pick him to win his last fight against Elijah Smith because I know he has the submission threat on the ground, and I don't think Elijah Smith was the best prospect overall. The issue is they signed Vince back to the UFC and gave Taylor Lapillus and Elijah Smith, and then now they're giving him Raul Rosas Jr. So it's like, why'd you sign this guy back if you're just going to give him like basically 3 killers? So then you're going to cut him. So for me, I know Vince is better on the feet, but I know Vince can be taken down, and I know Vince will willingly be taken down as he did in his last fight against Elijah Smith. That is by no means the wrestler or grappler that Raul Rosas Jr. is. So if that happens, I think it's over. I think Vince spends the entire round 1 on his back trying to stay safe. But if he gets taken down in the second round, I think Raul Rosas Jr. finds his back to a rear naked choke, or he finds a head and arm triangle sometime in the second round. So give me Raul Rosas Jr. to win this fight by second round submission. How about you, D-Rose?
Yeah, I'm going to pick Raul Rosas to win. I do think that he gets the job done here. I just think Vince Morales, taking the fight on, short notice, kind of a similar turnaround to Melky Costa here. And Vince Morales is taking it off a loss off of 3 rounds. And what was kind of a tough fight, and I think against a similar matchup, to where I don't know if he's had enough time to really train to get himself, sort of prepared for. Because Raul Rosas has heavy hands as well as good wrestling. I think he has better wrestling than Elijah Smith as far as the control goes and stuff as well. I think Vince Morales is just tough, and he's tough to finish. Has not been finishing his or has he been finishing his career? I thought he said he did.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
he has been. Yeah. I was like, wait, I thought he had been, but I was looking at the wrong guy. I mean, he has been submitted before, but man, I just think that Raul Rosas sometimes struggled with getting submission at times. I want to go Raul Rosas by decision here, and I might actually play that in the bet as well.
Just keep in mind that Vince, he's a lot more submission over position, and so I think if he ends up getting in any good spot, they end up falling off immediately and end up in a bad spot, because that's just what Vince Morales does. So I think he's going to end up in a bad spot at some point in this fight. So D-Rose on Raul Rosas Jr. via decision. I'm on Raul Rosas Jr. via second round submission. And Dave says, gee wee wees.
Gee wee wee. I mean, we all want to hear that this weekend, right? Like we had to at this point.
Yeah. I'm excited for it, Antoine. He's already had his first loss, so already that L, it'd be fun. That'd be crazy. Anyway, the Latino Rocky Dennis round 1-2 subs, says Dave. All right. Me and D-Rose both on Raul Rosas Jr. Featured fight of the night. We got Body Bags Piper taking on KG Kelvin Gastelum. Does that pick surprise you, D-Rose, right there at the top?
100% does.
All right, let's get into it. We got KG 19-9 overall out of his last 5 fights. He is 2 wins and 3 losses. 33 years old, 5'9", and a 71-inch reach. While Body Bags Joe Pyfer is 13 overall out of his last 5 fights. He is 4 wins and 1 loss. Currently a pretty big favorite. 28 years old, 6'2", and a 75-inch reach. This fight are plus 240 for Kevin Gastelum, and Joe Pyfer is minus 298. Your favorite. You see, I pick for this is Kelvin Gastelum via decision, and I think it's going to be a tough round 1 for Kelvin Gastelum because it's pretty much a tough round 1 for everyone for Joe Pyfer. If I was to have one thing to worry about, it's the Joe Pyfer submission here, and I could see that happening. Kelvin has been submitted quite a few times now. My thing is, this is middleweight. Kelvin can eat his tacos, drink his beer, not really having to worry about cut weight too much. And dude, if you put a gun in my head and ask who has better cardio out of these two, I would have to go Kevin, dude, just because we've seen Joe kind of gas. And this pick is strictly based off of us being at elevation. I'm going Kelvin Gastelum via decision. I think after that first round, Body Bags is maybe questioning, his training regimen. And we see Kelvin start to take over late round 2 and win round 3. We see a Kelvin Gastelum via decision, and the crowd goes wild. How about you, D-Rose?
And nothing would be better for Kelvin Gastelum than for him to get a win like that, considering a guy that was so close to winning the interim title fight against Israel Adesanya and delivered one of the best fights that I've ever seen. Again, the poster's in the back for a reason. It's one of my top 5 fights of all time. I think people would love to see him get back to that point. It's just hard for me to imagine that. I think the big thing here that plays into account, I do think that Joe Pyfer is obviously going to be the much bigger guy. I think the more explosive guy, the more technical boxer is going to be Kelvin Gastelum, but I think the power is going to be right there about the same. Or if not, Joe Pyfer is probably going to carry just a little bit more punch and power as well. I think Joe Pyfer is going to be able to neutralize the wrestling. And here's where I think the cardio comes into play. Is where we can pick on Joe Pyfer for losing against Jack Hermanson. Jack Hermanson in a 5-round fight is going to be tough for anybody regardless. If this fight's 5 rounds, I'm going to sweat a little bit more for Joe Pyfer, considering that Kelvin Gastelum is super tough. I think 3 rounds, as long as he can bank the first 2, I think will be super important for him. But give me Joe Pyfer here. I think Kelvin Gastelum is too tough to finish by knocking him out. You're going to have to submit him. Joe Pyfer does have those types of wrestling skills, or I'm sorry, he sometimes can show those jiu-jitsu skills as far as getting the submission. But I do think that Joe Pyfer's just too damn tough and too damn gritty and wanting to throw down. And I think him and Kelvin Gastelum kind of get into a little bit of a slugfest. And I think Joe Pyfer gets the job done by decision.
Fair enough. Second different pick of the night. I'm on KG, Kelvin Gastelum. D Rose is on Body Bags, Joe Pyfer. I knew that one was going to surprise you, D Rose. Up next, co-main event of the evening, we got El Loco Manuel Torres against Drew Dober. You see my pick already is round 2 knockout for Drew Dober. There we go. Manuel Torres is 15-3 overall, 30 years old, 5'10", and a 73-inch reach, while Drew Dober is 27 years old. Is 27-14 out of his last 5 fights, lost 3, won 2. 36 years old, 5'8", and a 70 reach. I was listening to fight interviews earlier today, and Drew Dober is he seems to be in a good dude. He's always in a good mood. But this week specifically, he seems to be in a good mood. He called himself the Diet Justin Gaethje. The only difference between him and Justin Gaethje is he's like, he's fighting all those dudes up there, and I'm fighting all these dudes down here. It's a lot easier for me. So that's what he's saying. He goes, I love to go in there, and I love to bang. I feel great. So if I lose, then I lose. But I feel like the best that I've ever felt. But I know every fighter always kind of says that. But I think he's had enough time to recover. He knocked out 8 months ago, so it's been quite enough time. And let's not pretend like 6 months before Ignacio Bahamondes or 6 months ago getting knocked out by Ignacio Bahamondes in the Sphere, that was the best look at, because, dude, Manuel Torres just seems like, how do I say this? He just runs forward into punches. Dude, and if you run forward into Drew Dober, I think you're getting knocked the fuck out again, dude. So round one is going to be a barn burner. I think it looks something like T-Rex versus Drew Dober, dude. Going to be a lot of whoppings back and forth. Give me this to be fight of the night for as long as it lasts. But give me Drew Dober to win this by second round knockout. How about you, D-Rose?
Yeah, I think that was the perfect comparison. Terrence McKinney versus Drew Dober, because I picked Terrence McKinney going into that fight because I did say that Drew Dober does get hit a lot, and I think Terrence McKinney's explosive. And I thought Terrence McKinney was going to get Drew Dober out of there. I even picked him going into that week. And Terrence McKinney had his chances, but Drew Dober's is too damn tough. And, man, I just think for Manuel Torres, I think he is all gas, no brakes. And he runs into shots, as Ignacio Bahamondes showed. He literally hit him with the same counter punch twice while Manuel Torres' hands are down. Drew Dober may not be the precision striker that Bahamondes is, but he does carry that power. And as you said, you run into that power too many times, Drew Dober is going to clip you and get you out of there. I got Drew Dober round one knockout, man. I think it does end up being like an exciting fight for the 3 minutes that it might last. But I don't think this fight gets out of the first round, man. Give me Drew Dober by first round knockout.
Fair enough. I don't hate it. Also, Drew Dober got probably one of the better body works in the UFC too. Like, he has no problem with tearing to the body, and Manuel Torres got a long torso, so I could see him unleashing to the body too. There we go. So, main event time, dear. We've got the Assassin Baby, Brandon Moreno, taking on Astro Boy, Steve Erceg. So, the Assassin Baby, Moreno, 28-2 overall out of his last 5 fights, 3 wins, 2 losses, 31 years old, 5'7" and a 70-inch reach, while Astro Boy, Steve Erceg, is 12-3 overall out of his last 5. He is 3 wins, 2 losses, once against the champion 10 months ago, and then got knocked out by Kai France 7 months ago in Australia. Anyway, Steve Erceg, 29 years old, 5'8" and a 68-inch reach. I thought he was a little bit taller than that, but I guess not. Anyway, that being said, I think personally, maybe UFC pushed Erceg a little quicker than what he should have been pushed. He didn't really deserve the shot, and then got smoked by Kai France after. With that being said, I don't really think this is any sort of step down competition. You're going to fight the champ. Next time you're going to fight the fighter that's about to fight for the championship. And then next you're fighting like the former 2-time champ. So it's just like a good fucking, I'm sorry, Steve Erceg, and the UFC's doing this, but it's the fight game. So for me, I like Brandon Moreno's durability the most out of anything here. And if it comes down to, I see a lot of people talk about how good Steve Erceg's boxing is, but Brandon Moreno's got way better boxing than Steve Erceg does. And I would say more power as well. If there's one thing maybe Steve Erceg has the advantage here, maybe it's jiu-jitsu specifically, but I don't know if this fight even goes to the ground, man. I think Brandon Moreno just touches up Steve Erceg all 3 rounds. In that 3rd round, we maybe see like a body kick or something. maybe finish the fight. So give me 3rd round knockout for Brandon Moreno in the main event, man. Which way are you going here?
Yeah, I think this one's it's a tough fight, man. And I think that and honestly, I think it's really a tough fight for Steve Erceg as well. You know, coming off the 2 losses, I know he's had some time to come back from that Kai France loss, but to lose a Kai France and then jump into a fight with Brandon Moreno, like you were fighting nothing but killer after killer in your fights. And I don't know if you're giving yourself the proper maturity time as far as coming off of these losses, wanting to get into a fight to maybe get yourself a win to where you could try to get yourself back. Brandon Moreno is just a tough fight, man. And I think, you know, I did pick Amir Albazi going into that fight against Brandon Moreno because my biggest worry with Brandon Moreno was he basically told us that he was getting a little burnt out at that point. And he wanted a little bit of a break. And his break was like, 8 months, 8-9 months. So, I mean, to me personally, that's not that long. But I guess for Brandon Moreno, it was long enough because look what he was able to do in that performance against Amir Albazi. I mean, we talk about virtuoso aura type moments. And that was one for Brandon Moreno for me to where, I mean, that was classic throwback Moreno. I mean, he was feeling himself. He's throwing rolling thunder kicks and just the combos that he was throwing. He was fighting with his hands down. Yeah, dude, slipping punches, throwing just wild combos, but landing all of them. Busted Amir Albazi up, man. I think if Brandon Moreno fights anything like he did in that last fight, man, I don't know who beats him at 125. And that's Figueiredo included. Give me Brandon Moreno here. I think Steve Erceg is going to be a little bit more cautious this time around. Brandon Moreno doesn't necessarily have the most devastating power, but I'll say, like, I think if I'm betting, I'm going to go 4-5 decision. But just in terms of how I see the fight playing out here, I'll go Brandon Moreno by decision here.
Fair enough. Me and D-Rose both on the assassin, baby. Brandon Moreno to win this fight. I'm on 3rd round knockout. D-Rose is on decision. D-Rose, we can do this together, right? Have you click save yet? Bam, go ahead and click save. And that way your picks are at least saved once. Yeah. So even if you don't update it again, you at least got them saved once. Your picks are entered. Look at that. All right. So Antoine saying, can we say Brandon is the 3rd greatest flyweight of all time, 2-time undisputed champion at the age of 30? I will disagree, Antoine, because I will say 2nd greatest of all time. I think it's Mighty Mouse, and then it's Brandon Moreno. I don't care if you think Henry is the greatest. He didn't really defend the championship enough for me. And for Davidson, I think, you know, all the fights that he had with Brandon kind of settled it who was better. So for me, it's Brandon, 2nd greatest of all time. How about you, D-Rose?
I think you still got to go 2nd Pantoja, man. I still think Pantoja is number 2. Still got the wins over Moreno. Plus, I would say right now, you know, cleared out the division and, you know, at a point right now to where he's basically running out of rematches and stuff like that. So they're bringing fighters from other organizations and all this stuff to fight Pantoja. I'm going to have to go personally out Pantoja too, but I will agree with Antoine to say Moreno, no doubt, number 3.
Yeah. For me, I think Pantoja can maybe, I don't know, dude. I feel like the interest around Brand versus Figgy was way more, as where like Pantoja, it almost kind of seems like he's just beating people that he's already beaten. So it's not really that impressive to me, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it's just my opinion, but it is.
Well, I mean, we say that, but then how many times did Moreno and Figueiredo, fight each other? You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I mean, at a certain point, flyweight does get to a point to where it's pretty much all the guys fighting one another. But yeah, I mean, Pantoja had to clear out the division before he got to the title. So that's the problem with him, is that he cleared out the division before he got there. Now he has nothing but rematches in front of him. But that's because the UFC was trying their best to hold him away from the title, and he just made himself undeniable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, D-Rose. So that's it for all the picks and predictions. The only thing we have left is the podcast play of the week. What's it going to be, D-Rose? What is your side of the podcast play of the week? my side is going to be, I think, the Drew Dober money line, man. I think that's what I am feeling most. Drew Dober money line.
Yeah, I like that. And for me, I was going to go one way, but I don't want to pick against one another. So let's go Christian Rodriguez, round 3 or decision at plus 120. Let's go at Christian Rodriguez here.
All right. So not sure if I have. Yeah, I don't have it on DK. So let me go on FanDuel. And in the meantime, I'll pop this up. This is my 2 most confident plays of the week right here. Here we go. This is for me. It's a 2-pick parlay, Drew Dober money line and Raul Rosas Jr. to win by submission. I shared the one last week right here. Chris Padilla and Kevin Holland. That one hit. And also the 2 right there. So hopefully this one can hit again this week. And me and D Rose will hit the podcast play of the week. It is Drew Dober money line and C-Rod for your decision.
Yeah, it should be plus 120 on FanDuel as of right now.
Currently, those 2 put together is a plus 311. So I will put $10 on it to win back 4113. There it is. Podcast play of the week. Right there. Podcast play of the week. Christian Rodriguez and Drew Dober. Plus 311, $10 to win, 4113. Hopefully we can get it back rolling. My side hasn't missed since we've been doing this. And I think this week is probably the scariest I've felt about it because, maybe I should just do the fight to go under 1.5, but, it is what it is. I think Drew Dober wins that fight. How do you feel about Kane getting 5 years, by the way? I don't know. It's a really weird situation, because I understand where he's coming from, but at the same time, you're not man, you're not like a vigilante, you have to understand that if you retaliate to someone that's against you, that's also a crime, and you do have to pay those consequences as well. So it's a very tricky situation, but at the same time, sucks. But I get it. He was facing 30 years, so he got 5. Yeah, so he actually got off a lot lighter than what he could have, and also saw somewhere that his lawyer expects him to do like 1 year and him out. So, good for Kane. Good for Kane, though. I ain't mad at him. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what I would do if I was put in the same situation. It's wild. Yeah,
it's tough, man. And of course, you always want to defend your child at the end of the day, but the only part that sucks is that really the part that's I guess you say really, I don't want to say indefensible, because obviously any parent's going to do whatever they want to do to protect their child. When you're chasing the guy down and you're like shooting bullet holes into his vehicle, and I believe, to my understanding from the reports, that there were other people in the vehicle with this dude at the time that was happening. So you're not only endangering that dude, who obviously we think he could be POS, but you're also endangering other people's lives who didn't necessarily have anything to do with the incident altogether. So that's where, you really run into a hurdle there. But obviously, blind rage as a parent, believe me, I have 2 kids, so I 1000% understand, I want to do everything we can to protect them as well. But you also want to be logical about it at the same time. I hate he got that time, and I hope you're right about him just doing about a year or so and getting out of there.
Yeah. It's just sad situation, dude. I just hate that there's people like that in the world, dude. It's just like, but you can't, it's just one of those things, dude, where it's like, what are you gonna do? Because you can't really help them. Like, there's no fix for that, so it's like, I don't know. That's
You damned if
that's
you
out
do,
of
you
my
damned if you
hands.
don't, honestly.
Yeah, that's out of people. That's in people's hands. Way smarter than me. Smarter than me. But anyway, with that being said, you got anything before we get out of here, D-Rose?
No, man. Hey, pick champ of the week. We'll do I believe just our two different picks.
only
We have
have two-
Kelvin Gastelum and Joe Pyfer. I'll throw in that third. I will go ahead and do the now I don't forget her name. Palestri, right? Against Lupe Godinez. I'll switch it up and make that our third pick. So Palestri, Lupe, Austin Hubbard, Markel Medeiros, and then Kelvin Gastelum and Joe Pyfer. Those will be our three picks for the pick champ.
All right. You're gonna feel if like Medeiros wins and then Lupe wins. You're gonna be like, man, I should have just fucking did Kelvin versus Pyre. Just kept the big ass favorite. All right. You have the opportunity. I'm giving you out. Giving you the out. All right, Carlos Leal versus Alex Moreno's about to happen again this weekend. You're like, man, I should have took that out. You should have took that out. Anyway, D-Rose wearing Cartoon Network. Oh my
Repping my childhood right here.
Yeah. All right. With that being said, so pick champ for the week is Kel Medeiros, Austin Hubbard, Lupe Godinez versus Julia Palostri, and Kelvin Gastelum versus Joe Pyfer. I'm on Medeiros, Kelvin Gastelum, and Lupe Godinez. The road, Austin Hubbard, Joe Pyfer, and Julia Palostri. Our podcast play of the week is Drew Dover Moneyline and Christian C. Rod Rodriguez 3 or decision. These two together is plus 311. Hopefully, we can get back to winning this week because we got robbed last week. Also this one as well. My two favorite plays on the card: Raw Rosas Jr. by sub and Drew Dober moneyline. So doubling up on the Drew Dober. So Friday change cheddar, you guys probably won't see too much Drew Dober there. But with that being said, it's going to be all from us here this week. Catch me Friday for change of cheddar. I'll have a UFC card video out. I don't know if it'll be this week or early next week, but your new UFC cards are supposed to come out next Friday. I don't know if they're going to or not, but that being said, I'll catch you guys Friday for Change of Cheddar. Me and D-Rose will catch you guys next week for the Golden Octagon MMA Podcast number 153. All right. With that being said, me and D-Rose will catch you guys later. Peace.